How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios, and we are back with some more AME, Adventures in Middle-earth, our D&D 5e campaign set in the world of Middle-earth between the years of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce some players. We're going to jump right into it. There's going to be a lot going on here for our fellowship phase. The group just finished their technically first complete adventure, and now they are doing their fellowship phase, kind of preparing for whatever adventures are next for them. But without further ado, we'll introduce, starting from Theodric going forward, and I will introduce Valineth at the end. Dain will not be joining us tonight, and so what little roleplay he gets will be done by me. So let's go ahead and jump into you, Theodric.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with my camera. My name is That Tubby Australian. I play Theodric Brimborn. He is our Slayer of Rohan, or Slayer from Rohan, I should say. And he is the youngest of the group. And he is currently happy to be at not Mountain Hall, at Woodman Town. Is it Woodman Town? No, we're at Woodman
Woodland
Hall.
Hall, yeah.
A mixture of it's a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, he's happy to be there because this coincides with his goal of meeting, what is it,
Heartfast.
Heartfast Lord of the Woodman of Mountain Hall.
Yes.
Ugh, it's all, my brain's mush right
It's all
now.
very
But yes, this
complicated.
coincides with him earning a spot at their big meeting over in Roscabel, where he can hopefully find somebody who can help him tame his blood rage.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we have Jess, our beautiful hobbit of the party. Go ahead.
Aw, thank you. Hello, I'm SpiderFan33 in the Twitch chat. I also play Jessamine Sackville Baggins. Last week we found out that she was a treasure hunter, bit of a roguish type. She likes crystals and healing. She's a really good cook. And she likes lemons more than more than perhaps Valineth would like her to. Yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Next, we have Fenor.
Gotta unmute myself. I am Nick or Lavacrest in the chat. I play Fenor, the Luctuin, a Mirkwood Elf Slayer. He's glad that we're like out of the Mirkwood for now, but like he's not gonna be sitting idle. Yeah, he's not gonna be sitting idle. Everyone's gonna be doing their own things, but Fenor once again is going off on his own to go and like help someone. And everyone keeps asking him to not make a habit of that, but he is failing terribly.
Yes. Such is the case of things when you have spent the past 5 years on the road, constantly on the road doing things. It's sometimes hard to just sit by and let time pass. It's kind of crazy.
I stayed at a city for an entire winter.
True.
That's very unlike me.
There you go. And lastly, as far as adventures go, we have Valineth. He is a high elf from Inladris, and he is the scholar of the group, and so he also additionally to Jess, is a healer of the party. He is a practiced elf from Rivendell, and he is also in search for his father, kind of his overall goals, who went missing as part of a hunting party years back. And so he's been traveling throughout Wilderland in order to reclaim his father. And as we learned from his birthday during the last episode, there's a lot that's going on and a lot that he is currently struggling with, but he's very happy being in the presence of a newfound family and newfound friends. Again, Dain's not going to be here. He literally just got back from vacation, and so he's sleeping. And so he'll be joining us next week for some Adventures of Middle-earth, unless anything unfortunate happens, but I can't see that happening, hopefully. Knock on wood. And I am Kyle. I am the lore master of this campaign, and will be helping guide narrative and acting on behalf of Fates to intercede both for and against these players to see what ends up happening with them as they adventure through Middle-earth. It's very exciting. But yes, let's go ahead and jump into a bit of recap before jumping into our fellowship phase. So last session, the group had just left the Easterly Inn. They had parted ways with Caranthiel and the elves, the Wayward Elves. There we go, the Wayward Elves, and they made their way south all the way down through the lands of Beorn to Woodland Hall. Which they found out is kind of taken care of by a community. The community supports themselves with not really an elected chieftain, but kind of a head of the group when matters need to be discussed. And this man is by the name of, oh my gosh, I have Ingolmer. So he is a large, stout, jolly man who's in charge of Woodland Hall. But upon their adventure down south, they not only set up camp to celebrate Valna's birthday, to which they were surprised by some nice little honey cakes, which is pretty good. But they also met some Beornings as they began their venture south. And these Beornings, with some really good impressions, particularly from Jess, made some friends with them. And so hopefully the eyes will be kept out for them while they trek through Wilderland on future adventures. But they were able, without much trouble, to make their way down to Woodland Hall, to which this was the end of their journey, as they initially made this journey to protect Baldur and Belgo, who are traders from Esgaroth, making their way to the other side of Mirkwood so they can trade their goods. And they did so relatively successfully, I might add. And so they were paid in full, and they were essentially released from their duties in order to do whatever they want for the summer here in Woodland Hall, which we discussed a little bit at the end of the last adventure, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the players for all of you, again, to briefly state what you hope to accomplish during this time, and if you have any questions, now's the time to be able to ask about possible things that you can do during your stay here in Woodland Hall. So let's go ahead and start with Fenor and make our way over to Theodric this time.
What Fenor's planning on doing is essentially, by proxy of going around and helping the neighboring towns, the smaller homesteads, the peoples who've been getting attacked, he's going to be scouting out the general area of this part of Middle Earth. Every now and then he'll come back to the main Woodman Hall, but for most of the time that he's here, he'll be out traveling from one town to another, trying to really, also partially to help Theodric in his goal of getting this seat at this meeting, and to help the people, trying to get their names out as much as he can to say we're trusted people, and to more or less just get the word out there that we're helping.
Exactly. Perfect. Jess, what are your plans for this? I will say, first and foremost, this fellowship phase is going to be extending all the way until the end of the summer months. And so you arrived here kind of towards the beginning of May. And so you have all the way until the later parts of July to really make a decision on the type of things that you want to do, which Fenor, yours, I would say, with visiting the neighboring towns, I think that can easily fit within the realm of something you can do within that time frame. So remember to keep it to that couple of month time restraint. So cool. Jess, what are your plans for this?
Cool.
Phase?
Yes. So last week we spoke. I asked you if I could train proficiency in insight. And I don't remember if you gave me a clear answer on that or not.
Yes, you'll be able to. Well, we'll figure out a way to tie that
sweet.
into
Okay, I do that.
about something specific as far as we'll figure that out about a way to implement that. But I gotcha. We got this. No worries.
Yeah, for sure. What an idea I had was that I could potentially find another very spiritual healer such as myself in the town, and just sort of train underneath them for the summer, and stay with them, and just have a good time.
Good Good to know. I'll keep that. I'll keep that noted in the back of my mind.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
feel free to wreck on. It's your world. Well, technically Token's world, but you're running it.
Yeah, we got this. That's good to know specifically what you're kind of looking for. When you are a DM and you're doing these types of things, it's always good to get input from your players. So I appreciate that. Theodric, what are you planning on doing for this? I mean, I guess Fenor
Theodric-
noted it a little bit.
Fenor did note it, and he's very appreciative of Fenor's help. Theodric plans on making himself useful around Mountain Hall. Just, helping with physical labor, helping repair fences, helping just do anything that needs doing, really. Like, helping shore up the defenses, like, of Mountain Hall itself. Just helping out at the stables if they've got any, just anything he can do to... I guess there's no nicer way to ingratiate himself to the people, but he is doing it to make himself helpful, not just for his own personal gain.
Hey, sometimes it's good to ingratiate, regardless of the
And
circumstance.
I guess in his spare time, he would like to be studying their culture up at the...
Woodland.
Udasil. How do I spell that?
Yeah, it is spelled a little weird. It's Wuduseld. Woodland. That's probably completely butchered, but that's okay. That's how I'm pronouncing it.
But yeah, and if he's got spare time helping out around town, he would like to be going there and just kind of like learning the history and culture of the Woodland.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Well, great, and I believe I did actually get a chance to speak with Dain a little bit. We'll do at the beginning of next session a brief little kind of recap of the things that he wants, but he is planning on spending his time within Woodland Hall as well, and so he'll be there for Theodric and Theodric, Jess, Fenor, whoever needs his help or attention in any way, he's going to be there to be able to help in whatever way he can. But without further ado, we can go ahead and jump right in. So the first things first, I know that immediately what you guys wanted to do is Theodric and Valineth. You wanted to make your way up to Woodland before even finding a place to rest in order to kind of look at the halls. This was something that Ingolmer at the end of last session had mentioned, that there's a lot of history that's written there, and I know that piqued your interest a little bit, Theodric. So we can go ahead and split off, unless anybody else would like to join in this endeavor. Valineth and Theodric can make their way up there to investigate a little bit. And I will say this, because you are all technically have a point of exhaustion from coming here, not including the roleplay kind of stuff, but your first check, depending on the things that you're going to be doing, is going to be made at disadvantage. But because you are spending basically an entire fellowship phase here, after that first check, it's not going to be at disadvantage anymore. It's going to be normal. So the first check that you make for that role that you're performing, disadvantage for that exhaustion.
Okay.
Perfect.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Will we still be exhausted after the first check?
You will not be exhausted after the first check, because you will have technically some time to
Thank you for
rest.
clarification.
Yeah. You'll have some time to be able to rest.
It's just
and
like,
run
yeah.
it off.
It's more or less while we're new to the city, the very first thing we do, it kind of fun because we've been on the road so long.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just clarifying
Yeah,
because
absolutely, for sure.
it's been contentious in the past. But...
Okay. Moving onwards, and so Theodric, the rest of you, are you going to be staying, Jess, Fenor? Tell me your plans super quickly. Are you planning on just staying at the tavern, or do you want to go off and search your separate ways for something specific?
I think the main things that Fenor would probably do after having been on the road is he's probably going to go try and book lodging in the treehouses, more or less, and he's probably just going to try and sleep off the road. Maybe on his way, if he's going past any like districts or anything that are selling stuff like weapons or anything, he might have a look through there. But we can do that roleplay after.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Theodric's stuff.
Yeah. I'll probably go with Fenor just because I don't know the city very well. And like check out the tree houses, see how I feel about that sort of situation.
Perfect. we'll see. As a hobbit living
I'm not
underground.
expecting to like him.
Yeah. And so, as the two of you prepare to go explore the tree houses, Theodric and Valineth, you leave out of the entrance of the tavern and kind of point your eyes upwards. If you remember, you see this map here. The tavern that you guys currently are at is this large building right here. And so you basically look upwards and you see that this path winds all the way to the top. This is kind of a little bit more of what you're looking at here. So like somewhere like right here, and you have to kind of zigzag all the way up to the top. There's this very, very impressive longhouse, and you can see that Ingolmer, he's a very humble man, and you can tell that this house is of humble craft. But it is great, and it is enormous, and it takes up the entirety of this giant hillock that the city is built on. And so as you and Valineth make your way up, Valineth, he actually turns to you, Theodric, and says, "So, you say you're looking for some information about your lineage, is that right?"
Well, I mean, yes and no. It's said that, a lot of it's said that the men of Rohan are descended from the men of the North, and as are the men of the Woodland realm.
Yes, I knew that much, but unfortunately, I'm not so sure I understand a lot of woodman culture. It's something that I haven't had a lot of time to study, and I do find that woodman culture is not quite written down quite as much as maybe some of the elven cultures, or even some of the western men cultures. This is going to be quite interesting indeed, and I think a wonderful endeavor for us to be able to study. And he has his journal and everything, and his quill at the ready. He's ready for this. About a couple of minutes pass as you make your way up to the hall. You pass a few friendly faces, and they nod to you. You both look clearly different from those that are here, as Theodric, you're a lot more robust as far as your height and stature, and your blonde hair definitely makes you stand out from kind of the darker haired and darker skin of the people that are around. And yes, Valineth, as an elf of Imladris, very much stands out. But the people, as they look at you as you make your way up to the hall, they greet you without any kind of lingering eyes or anything of the such. And so you can actually find yourself relatively comfortable here. Your first impressions are actually probably pretty good as you start to climb your way up. They don't necessarily engage you in conversation, but they just let you go on their way while still being friendly as you pass them. You make your way up to Woodland, and this grand entryway. It stands with these two doors that open wide. Actually, Theodric, I'm gonna have you make so this doesn't count as the disadvantage check, but I'm gonna have you make a history check for me.
That is a 4.
4. This looks vaguely familiar. The darkened wood definitely stands in stark contrast to what you are, what kind of like the lighter woods from back in Rohan. But you can see that it's a relatively similar make, but you don't take too much time to see this entryway as you're really kind of chomping at the bits to make your way inside. And so you do. You push the doors open, and as you make your way inside, you see this grand hall. It's beautifully ornate. You see all these tapestries that are hanging, and then also these murals that are spaced throughout, where basically there's windows, mural, window, mural, and higher up you have these tapestries. And so there's basically a plethora of things to be able to look at. And in the center of this longhouse, there is this great long fire pit. That seems like it has tables set up all around to be able to do whatever cooking is necessary, but this looks like it could probably seat about 50 or 60 people comfortably, kind of around the outsides, on all sides. But I'm gonna have you, as you make your way in here, I'm gonna roll for Valineth as well. Make investigation checks for me.
Okey-dokey. That's a 12.
12. So one thing that you notice, right off the bat, actually, as you make your way kind of over to the far side of the entryway, you discover that there is a mural that catches your eye. There's no throne per se, or even like seat of leadership that's in this hall. It's just kind of open more. You can tell that it's probably more of like a historical site, or even just a place for gatherings. But you make your way over to the far end of the wall, and you see this beautiful mural. And the first thing that is brought to your attention is a warrior that stands firm and kind of stoic, looking at you. The artistry is pretty good. You can tell that it's definitely been a little bit worn with time. But your eyes turn to what this individual is holding. They are holding an axe. But something about this axe is familiar to you. You look at the head, and you can see a embossed symbol of a wolf on the head of this axe. This does jog your memory and curiosity.
Hey, Valineth, correct
Yes.
me if I'm wrong, but do you think that the axe head in this tapestry, doesn't that look like the shard of metal that Kayla gave me?
Oh, step
Like,
aside, step aside. Let me take a look. First, he has to make his first investigation check, and then my computer's being super duper slow right now, so bear with me.
I think that Fenor has it right now. We'll have to check with Fenor when we get back, but
Yes.
I do remember it having a wolf head.
Wolf head indeed. I was only able to catch but a glimpse of this, as you were right. Fenor is keeping it with him, and he looks. He says, "This looks fancy. Could be." And he kind of like nods to you. Did he mention anything about this piece of metal?
He kept saying something about it being light and belonging with light. I don't know. This was before he kind of regained his mental faculties. This was in his raving lunatic phase.
Ah, yes. Well, I will say that if he's talking about the shine on this, I'm sure it could catch quite a lot of light. Ho ho ho! I nearly jest. In fact, this does look like it is of importance, so if it is the same thing that is in this tapestry, perhaps. Perhaps we should talk to Ingolmer about such things.
Yes, definitely. I wonder how Kayla came by it, because
He didn't
I guess
mention
he has-
how he came by it. He said he was
No.
in possession of it, but he's always had it, or what?
I don't know. We might have to actually ask Kayla about this when we go back to the tavern.
Well, it is fortuitous that we brought him with us, isn't it?
Indeed.
Indeed.
But really, look at this place, Valineth. Like, it reminds me a bit of the longhouses back home, but it's quite different.
1 second, guys.
Well, while our dear DM is taking this break, might I take this moment to talk about this channel's wonderful
sponsor,
wonderful
Snacky.
Yep. Hi, Snacky. There you go, Snacky in chat. They
Spelled
are
Snacky wrong, you heathen.
They are a Japanese sweets, treats, and goods only, luxury. What's it called?
They're so
Lucky
good.
Dip
Free
Box.
shipping worldwide.
Free shipping worldwide.
Yep.
They're pretty great.
The-
Japanese sweets and
We're
luxury
just
treats.
doing a sponsor segment.
Hey, he's back.
I'll just
I'm
say Fenor's definitely pawning off that axe head the first chance he gets.
Why
No,
did
no.
you?
No, I wasn't going to, so I won't. He doesn't know any of its importance.
That was us
Uh,
trying to fill in the silence of our DM going missing.
I was
apologize. I
gonna
thought
tell you
someone
a
was trying to
really
get me for
really good
something.
joke
It's
about a
okay.
horse, but you know, yeah, it's
okay.
do the sponsor segment.
Check out Die Snacky. They're great. Anyways, back
More on that later.
to more on that later. Back to the session. Anyways, yes, continue, Theodric. What were you saying?
This place honestly reminds me a lot of the longhouses back home. There are the differences, obviously. Like, this is more ceremonial, I suppose, and it's constructed a bit differently, but it definitely kind of... I guess there's some truth to the idea that the Woodmen and the men of Rohan come from the same lineage.
Indeed, indeed. I have lived 78 years, actually, as of now. That's going to be hard to remember. But, yes, I have not seen any of the longhouses of Rohan. In fact, this is the first that I've seen something of such a kind. I will make sure to take every note, and when I go visit your homeland of Rohan, Theodric, I will compare and contrast.
Well, I can't wait to take you to see Rohan someday.
Have you heard of a Venn diagram? He goes ahead and he begins to start explaining that. As he does so, you continue to look around at the general, just everything, kind of like the history. And we'll say that this even takes the course of a few months that you come and you visit here off and on. And you just take a little bit of time in your day, not every day, but every now and then, to come by here and investigate some of the kind of the important iconography, trying to figure out maybe some of the text that is there, the little bit of text that there is, and actually inquiring about some of these things. With that initial check that you made, that is actually going to reveal a decent amount of information. So outside of this, just the axe itself, you also see that there are 4 sigils that you are drawn to that are placed throughout the, basically on like pretty much either side of the hall. At the very far end of the hall, kind of above the tapestry that the axe was being held, is essentially this sigil of a wolf. On the west wall, the westernly wall, you see a sigil of a bear. On the easterly wall, you see, or sorry, not a wolf. The far end was a hound. On the easterly wall was a wolf, and then on the most southern part of it is a horse. This horse, you don't even need to make a check for this. You know exactly what this is. This is actually still the exact same icon that the king uses in Rohan. So this is the icon of the golden halls of Edoras. So the horse of the rider of Rohan. So that you don't even need any explanation of that, other than the fact that you do know that this comes from the house, specifically the house of Errol, and Errol the Young. You're not quite sure what some of the other houses what other houses belong to each of the other sigils, but you can feel free to ask. So this is going to be your check to do so. You can either make a persuasion check for me, or if you want to go more of kind of the inquisitive check, you can do an investigation check. Because again, there are a number of people that do come in and out of these halls.
I'm gonna go with the persuasion check.
All right.
That is an 18.
Wow, very well done. And so during this time, you are actually kind of picking up a little bit of the learning techniques that you have from Valinith. And Valinith, he sometimes quietly writes and jots things down, but he actually spends a lot of time here. The vast majority of his time actually in this town has been here, kind of doing deep study. But every time someone comes in, he's been pulling someone aside and asking them questions about so-and-so and trying to figure out answers, kind of like he's putting together a piece of a puzzle. You see this, and you also start to inquire with some of the people, some of the visitors of this hall as well. And which one do you want to know about first? Do you want to know the bear, the wolf, or the hound?
Is going to ask about the wolf first.
Okay.
He's really curious because of the axe head that Kayla tried to give him, and just like having it in such a place of prominence in the Wudaseld. It seems the most pressing matter.
And with that, because of your 18 on your roll, this is the person who actually comes in to discuss this with you is Ingolmer. So he says, "Oh, how can I help you? It seems like you've been spending quite a bit of time here. Oh, yes, this place, it's a place of study, a place of history. And clearly, with you being from Rohan, a place of shared history. What can I do to help you?"
I was just having some questions about the 4 tapestries, the 4 emblems here. I mean, obviously the horse is the sigil of the House of Earl, but I was wondering more about the wolf emblem here.
Ah, the wolf. The wolf is perhaps the one that is shrouded in most mystery. Of all of the emblems and the houses that are here, this one... I'm curious on why you would inquire about such a thing. May I ask why?
Well, as we both know, the Woodmen and the Men of Rohan have their shared history and their shared ancestry, but there's something familiar about it that I don't know. It tickles something in the back of my mind. A friend of mine had a piece of an axe head that had such a sigil on it.
Had a wolf. There are a number of artisans here in Woodman Town and throughout the people of the Woodmen that have all kinds of weapons that are carved with wolves, that are carved with stags, any kind of animal that you can think of.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different. I can't exactly explain how it seems important. Maybe I'm just...
Well,
I
if you
don't
could
know.
show me this piece of, this piece of history, I would be more than happy to lay eyes upon it if we get the chance. But perhaps at a later date, I can go ahead and explain maybe some of the significances of some of these houses. But we will go ahead and begin with the wolf. And he points out kind of on the easterly wall. So this sigil, it does actually differ from, well, ours, which is the sigil of the Hound, in as much as, well, we were all descendant from, well, this clan of the Wolf to begin with. This was our beginnings. We, well, us people of the North, we grew up and we trained horses in the lands of the Vales of Gundabad. Yes, it was some 400, 500 years ago that, our people started making their way south. As you know, Errol the Young himself had made his way when Gondor called for aid. And so, it was a matter of time before the rest of us started following our brethren down southward. And so, the wolf is where we all descended from. This is, and he begins to explain, the wolf is the House of Haleth. The House of Haleth, it's the primary symbol of the Northmen. And so we are all related underneath this banner. And he points over to the Hound. You can understand its likeness, and we actually forged this as a new symbol by the one who traveled southward. This is the Hound, and it is the House of Isrod. Well, we used to be horse tamers, much like yourself down in Rohan. However, these woods aren't so good when it comes to raising and maintaining, horses that require the nice open vales, the vales of Gundabad, the plains of Rohan, even the plains of Wilderland. So, we turned to something that would be more useful, creating hunting hounds and hunting dogs. And so, our ancestors far back in the day, we changed our symbol from that of a wolf to that of a hound. And that is where we get our symbol, the House of Isrod. And then finally he points to the western wall. The sigil of the bear. This is an interesting one. They decided to come south perhaps a little bit later than we did here. But this is actually, if you look closely, and he points you into a small etching kind of underneath. Now this is the House of Grimm. Ah, yes. They are descendants of the people of the north, and they settled in the Mountain Hall region. In fact, the House of Grimm is probably one of the newer houses of it. They came down about 200 years ago, and, our relatives at Mountain Hall, they are hard fast to be able to hold on to this sigil, and they're very proud of it. To be honest, I think Grimm is a rather terrible name, but that was the name of the family that moved down there. But unfortunately, other than that, that's all I really know about this house. It's kind of shrouded in mystery, per se.
Huh. Grim. And Theodric's just kind of amused, because of his self-given title. And just kind of the connections that he's made. And he's just, So, I don't know. Hmm. Thank you, Engelmer. You've been incredibly helpful.
Oh, I must say, my knowledge of these halls isn't what it should be. I often find myself helping more people out than I care to admit, but I should spend more time studying up on my history. To be honest, and he kind of pulls you over. Well, the future of Woodland Hall. There's a lot of pressure that it rests on my shoulders. Yes, perhaps I'm a leader of this, well, sanctuary for the woodmen. But I do find that perhaps in the hands of one maybe not quite as capable, I do fear that our days of peace would come to an end. But perhaps I should look to the past, as we have survived for hundreds of years here out in the wilderness, and the leadership that has come thus far has obviously proven quite beneficial to where Woodland Hall is today.
I believe looking to the past might be a good idea for some inspiration, for some knowledge, but I don't think you should be selling yourself short, Engelmer. I haven't been here long, but the people respect you, and a leader who cares for his people and knows where his shortcomings are is what most people need. You know, not some high and mighty lord who's never done a hard day's work, but somebody who understands the people that they live with and what they need.
Well, seems like you've pegged me right on the nose. I am indeed no lord. And I don't want to consider myself a leader, but a leader is what these people need, especially in these times. Yes, we are in times of peace, but we also experience quite a few years of darkness. And, well, perhaps there is one of my kin that could replace me in time. But I also don't believe in lineages being the end-all be-all to leadership in this world.
Yes, well, I don't know how many others would agree with that, but I can't help but believe that those who are suited to lead should probably lead, and I guess blood doesn't really make for a good leader in all cases.
Not in all cases, and he kind of, like, sighs a little bit. Well, my son England. He is, well, let's just say he's not the leader we're all looking for. I hear what the people around here say. They all expect him to take my place when I become of age. Too old to be able to lead, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, if you catch my drift. And that's nothing against my own kin. In fact, I think he has quite a skill when it comes to hunting, but as far as diplomacy and leading people, he does not have a mind for such things.
I see. And is there not time to teach these qualities? I don't know. To be fair, I've never had to worry about the ideas of leadership. You know.
And these...
Generally, I just have to obey what my lord says or follow my own moral compass.
And this is perhaps where my greatest shortcoming lends itself. I am here for my people, but maybe not necessarily all the time for my family. And you can see him pondering that for actually probably a solid minute as he like kind of just like thinks. He looks at the fire that's kind of in the middle of the room and turns himself back after about that kind of like very awkward pause and says, well, if you have perhaps something that you can show me about this axe, I'd be more than happy to be able to investigate it for myself, to see if it is of importance.
Obviously, like, this has taken place over many, many times. Like, I'd assume I'd have retrieved the axe head, or the part
We'll
of the
just say
axe
this
head
conversation happens at the beginning.
Fenor. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Well, I don't have it on me right now, but I'll have to retrieve it from my pack when I get back to the back to everyone else.
Indeed.
I didn't think to bring it with me right now.
Well, you know, it's... I can see that carrying an axe head around with you probably isn't the safest thing to be traveling with, but if it is of importance, I'd be more than happy to be able to see. And we're going to go ahead and zoom out of that, move away, and head over to Jess and Fenor as you make your way over to these tree houses. You begin to kind of wind your way all the way down the hill as this Woodasild rises up high above you. You make your way towards kind of the inner tree line. It's very interesting. You've never seen quite a settlement like this. It has this palisade that surrounds it, but there's almost kind of like these forests, like small little forests that are within the palisade. Woodman Town is nothing like this, and even the Woodland realm being completely underground obviously is nothing like this either. And so this is quite a sight to see. Jess, I'm gonna have you make an investigation check for me, and Fenor, I'm going to have you make a perception check.
Disadvantage, correct?
Not for this one. Not for this one.
Okay. Alright. Investigation.
17.
Okay.
Oh my god. Ooh! Natural 20 for a -1, which is 19.
So, Fenor, as you look around, you'll notice that a number of people are actually talking to each other. They take one look at like the two of you, and they talk to each other, and their eyes continuously follow you as you make your way through. Something about the two of you is attracting the gaze of the citizenry here. Jess, as you move your way closer and closer to the trees, you suddenly feel incredibly small. You begin to feel like this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea as you grow closer to kind of the bases of these trees. And there's a small hut that's at the bottom. So you've made your way down from the hall, zigzag, all the way down kind of to the front gate area. There's a small house right here. That essentially is the lodgings lodgings clerk's house. And so you make your way up there, and you feel that there is this apprehension.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
I just as soon as I get as we approach this new area, I just stop in place.
Just, you know what? Fenor is just gonna keep walking for like a few steps, and then he's gonna like look around like, Jess, you okay? Like, it's this way. Can how apparent is it that she's like stunned by this?
Oh, it's very apparent.
She's got her hands like this, maybe like grabbing like a few of her boxes.
Okay, Fenor's actually going to like walk up, and he's going to take a hold of her hands. And he's like kneeling down. He's gonna be like, all right, here, try looking at the ground. The ground is close. The ground is familiar. Even if this is unfamiliar land, it's solid underfoot. Imagine what it's like to be under this ground. What is the ground like? You know, fairly well trodden, very compact.
It's very well maintained, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Imagine this: sturdy, familiar, well looked after. Being in a hole underground that someone has spent a lot of time looking after. This is a very large place. If at any point you feel overwhelmed, think of the ground. Close your eyes, think of what's beneath your feet. It is what is real and is what is important. Are you alright?
I'm better now. You're really good.
Thanks, I have been told that I'm quite good at it. Yes. Yes.
Fortunately, that natural 20 is not going to force you to make a charisma saving throw. So you are good, you are calmed, and you are, well, you steadied yourself for whatever happens next here.
Yeah.
If need be, Jess, I know we're going to go look at the tree houses. If we have to, we can find somewhere that's more on the ground, somewhere a bit closer to what you're familiar with. If at any point you feel overwhelmed by any of this strange land, just let me know and we'll do what we can to make you more comfortable. Look, I will be the first to admit, I like doing things that make me feel uncomfortable. It allows me to experience a new culture, but I don't want it to come at the detriment of my friends.
It's not really my thing.
Like, at least go into one, you know?
That was my plan, but they're just very big. Okay. Oh, I'm strong. I'm beautiful. I can do
Yeah,
this.
try doing this. This is something that my father taught me when I was young. Showing me how to first actually get into a fight. Okay, plant your feet squarely under your shoulder. I tap their feet. It's like square under your shoulders. Take a deep breath and really tense up your core here, just like under your diaphragm, and push as much of your weight as you can into your feet. Okay, Fenor's going to give her a little push, and because of what he's just told her to do, she's actually more solid than she normally is. Like, she won't move. He's like, if you ever need to steady yourself, just do this. You can be standing there, and it can be really innocuous, but this steadiness, this firmness, can help bring you back to the ground.
You're so sweet, Fenor. Thanks.
Yes, I'm very laying on thick that hobbits live in the ground bit, but yes.
I mean, it's
I feel like
true.
it must be comforting. Like I said, dwarves that I've traveled with have said that sometimes it feels like they're going to fall into the sky. So,
Oh
yes.
no, it's nothing like that. It's just it's hard being the smallest person around. These trees are very big.
Yes, I wonder what secrets they hold.
They are quite large. In fact, as you kind of gaze at the trees, it's a forest per se, but think of kind of like a redwood forest where there's not like a lot of extra plants that are around, and like there's no like twigs or anything that are coming off near the base. These things are huge and really wide around, very sturdy, old trees. And as they rise up, you can see these houses that clearly are very well maintained, but pretty much give you a bird's eye view of everything that is in the town. In fact, they rise to the point where they even obscure Woodland just slightly. And as you look at just to the right of it, you see this house that says, like basically in the common language, Woodland Halls, Treehouse Farms. And then just below it, it says Big Summer Blowout.
Actually, where we are, because we're making our way down, is that anywhere like close to like a markets or anything? Oh, actually, just for us, like on Wobble, I actually can't see the town map. I currently see. Oh, there you go. It just popped up for me. Thank God. So where are we at the moment,
So
sir?
currently you are down here at this little area. And so just a kind of a brief overview. There are 3 locations that have these tree houses. So here at the back of the hill, and here down here. There's a small kind of like little like mine and like quarry that's here. Up here in the middle is Woodland. This is the tavern that you were at, and that's all that you know of this place so far. Making your way down the side of this cliff, you have not passed through the market green yet.
Actually, just like because he doesn't know where it is there anyone who's like walking by that he might be able to ask?
There are a number of people who are walking by. In fact, a number of people that are kind of, like chatting, like just far enough to where like they can't be heard, but they're...
Are they talking in the Woodland tongue?
There isn't really a Woodland tongue. It's just kind of the common language for them, so...
Alright. I was just checking because in my languages it says I can speak the Woodland tongue.
Woodland tongue. That's probably... Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I can speak Cinderin, Westron, unless Wood Elves just have their own, like, dialect.
No. It's probably a language thing from Woodland. But yeah, we could say that they're talking in the Woodland tongue. Yeah, you're foreigners. They are probably going to assume that you can't understand them.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be like, alright, Jess, I do want to check the trees, but also want to have a look at the markets while we're down around. Maybe find something useful. Excuse me, and I actually start speaking in the Woodland tongue. Would you know where any markets are, by the chance?
Oh, are you talking to us? And they like two of them. It's 2 women, and they kind of like are like about like. Oh.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude upon your conversation. I'm new in town, so I haven't been around here before. I'm looking for where the markets might be.
Oh, no. Don't mind us. Markets. Yes, there's a very good markets actually here, and they immediately start to point kind of westerly. Yes, the Market Green, it's by the residential district over there. I'm not sure how many traders are here, but that would be a good place to check.
Thank you very much. And he
They
gives
look
like a very small
flustered, by the
bow.
way. Very
He gives a small bow and he like makes a mental note of where they said it was. He's like, "All right, Jess, let's go check out these tree houses."
Okay.
And he's just gonna start walking towards the closest one.
Yep.
You begin wandering around, and you don't see any people that are walking beneath. And you can see that there are some tree houses that have ladders, kind of like a rope ladder that is dropped down. And there are actually others that don't have ropes, but there are tree houses up at the top. I'm gonna have both of you make perception checks for me.
16.
16.
Perception +1 is a 5. I'm staring at the ground mostly.
Yeah, you are. you kind of like measuring, like eyes downcast, like the diameter of these trees, and you're like, I don't know how sturdy this is. Like, this is a little bit. But Fenor, as you kind of look up and about, you can see that the ones with ladders, they look to be inhabited. There are people. You don't know if they're living here or just staying. The ones that don't have ladders look to be vacant at the moment.
Does there seem to be like any like smaller like building or something where people would like go to like lodge into this place? Like they'd go pay someone so they can lodge in this place?
The initial place, the place that had the sign, the Big Summer Blowout.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Feanor's gonna head there. And he's going to more or less ask like what the prices are, if I could like perhaps see if like we'd be comfortable sleeping up there or not before we like commit to being here, because I want to be able to take Jess up there, obviously. I was like, sorry, nice to meet you. We're just coming by to check if the tree houses, which I haven't really seen before, would be something we'd be comfortable sleeping in, especially my companion here. The Hobbit is very, very unfamiliar. So we were just wondering if we'd perhaps be able to try before we buy, per se.
A very tall, thin man stands in front of you, and he kind of leans over the desk and looks down, and he immediately has this big grin on his face. Ho ho ho, it's been quite some time since I've seen any of the little folk here. You're looking for lodging in our tree houses, you say?
Yes, look, I'm a wood elf, as I'm sure you've been able to tell.
Yes.
Sleeping in a tree isn't the most unfamiliar thing to me, but I'd still like to see these tree houses. And my companion here would like to see if perhaps it's something she would enjoy. A more novel experience for a hobbit.
Lucky for you, you've made it here just in time before the summer rush happens. As you can see, we have a big summer blowout going on here. And, we rent out these tree houses for the summer vacations.
Is this sorry, is this something I'm unfamiliar with? The blowout.
Yes.
Is that Woodland speak for?
It basically means sail.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Big discounts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like a bargain shop. Yeah.
Wait, an
Yeah.
entire store? That's a bargain store? If everything's on discount, isn't nothing?
Depends
it's
on
a
the time
dollar
of year.
store.
Yes.
Like bargains and all.
Yes.
Indeed, I shall
yeah.
show you. What are you looking for? Are you
I
looking
bet
for one of our
it's from there,
smaller
actually.
models or larger, more spacious?
Perhaps one of the larger models. Something as well.
Oh, okay.
Four beds, if we could. Maybe a couple different rooms.
have a couple of things in mind. We have a couple of residencies that are vacant at the moment. We have had reservations come in from last season, but I do think I have about 2 of our large suites ready. You seem a little frightened, my friend. And he looks down at Jess, who again, still kind of downcast.
Well, it's a little intimidating. These trees are very big, and you are very tall in comparison to me.
Don't you fret, little one. These are very sturdy trees. They've lasted even before Woodland Hall was established. They've got sturdy roots that go deep beneath the hill of this here town. It's been quite a while since I've seen one of the short folks here, and never has one of them inquired about our tree houses. This will be new. This will be interesting. You're going to have to tell me what you think of our luxury suites.
Well, as long as you provide luxury treats as well, I think we'll get along fine.
Treats. The tavern has many.
Yes.
I hear it's quite sweet.
Oh, hey, like Fenor goes, haha. Like he does like a deep sigh and just thinks to himself, I can
Check
never
out Guy
escape.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I love it. Gotta get the plug in.
But yes, if we could see these rooms, then that would be greatly appreciated.
He takes the 2 of you out, and actually you make your way to around the side towards the back side of the town. These are where some of the larger ones are, and these trees are much taller. They actually creep out over the top of Woodland, but their diameter is quite thick. And these houses, you can tell that they have extended far beyond just the top of one tree, but they are basically encompassing many trees with kind of breezeways and walkways between them. And he basically, it's very impressive. He takes out what looks to be climbing equipment, and he just kind of like Mulan style, wraps around the tree and just begins hoisting himself up to the top of the tree.
Fenor's looking like, oh, that looks fun. I'll have to get a pair of those.
And then Jess is looking like, oh no.
Don't fret, little one. This is how I'm trained for something like this. As he begins making his way up, about a minute passes as he just scales this tree, and this rope ladder.
How much
falls
cardio do you think he does to be able to do that so quickly?
More than me.
Yes.
This rope ladder gets basically dropped down, and he begins climbing down it quite firmly. He takes out 2 stakes from his pockets, and in the little loops, he begins hammering each end of the ladder into the ground to keep it solid and to keep it firm. After you, and he offers the 2 of you the rope to be able to climb. I'm gonna have you make a charisma saving throw for me.
Let's see if I get stuck halfway up the ladder, guys. I am pretty good at charisma though. That's a 12. That's a 12.
You're feeling brave, but let's see if you're brave enough.
Okay.
You begin climbing. Who's going up first? Who's going up second?
I go up first.
Yeah, Fane's gonna go second because if she does slip, he wants to be able to catch her.
Jess, you begin to climb this rope ladder, and it is terrifying. You take 1 step off the ground, you take another step as you begin slowly, you start to climb. Everything in your mind is telling you, don't look down, don't look around, just 1 step at a time as you make your way up. You make your way
Fenor goes, wow, look at the view from up here.
No!
Oh, this is fantastic. I think I could see most of the town.
You make your way about halfway, about 2/3 up the ladder, as you look up towards the top, and immediately you can start to feel this small breeze gently, very gently sway, but it blows through your hair, and immediately you freeze and hold on to the ladder and you close your eyes. You are not necessarily stuck or chickened out, but Fenor, you have but a moment to be able to soothe her. either through perception or not perception, either through persuasion or deception. Don't tell me which one.
Don't tell me which one.
Okay. A 16.
16.
Jess, it's all right. It's not much further to the top, and think about it. You would have to climb all the way down to the bottom. It'll just prolong it. At least this way we can stand on something solid for a little while before we head down.
Does this work?
How far from the top?
You're 2/3 with your initial roll. This just works as you begin to creep your way back up to the top.
No, I go up like even faster at the thought of like going up like
I get it. Within safety, and you see that as you reach the top, this kind of platform, and there are about 3 ropes that separate kind of a railing down from a fall off, and these ropes are taut. You would really have to work to like slip through these, or a very strong wind would blow you out. But you find yourself at the top with this giant platform that begins to extend around a treehouse. You see on the left side, it extends probably about 2/3 of the way back, and then there is kind of a breezeway that makes its way over to another tree. And you on the right side, about like a quarter of the way around, there's another that goes off. From the main kind of house section, you can see that there's also a small ladder that goes up into a other room down on the top. So there's a total of 4 rooms within this place. As you look around, you see that they're not necessarily equipped with like a kitchen or anything like that, but you see that they are pretty blank slates for you to be able to store things. There's like open cupboards and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's pretty simple. There's small cots that are in there as well. It's pretty simple, but it's beautiful. Fenor, at least you look at it and see it as beautiful. You make your way inside like the central room though, and Jess, the walls immediately begin to encompass you. There's a couple of windows, and you feel immediately safer as you make your way into this space. The wind is blocked off, and you can barely tell that you are up like 100 feet off the ground. And the fact that you are here, well, that's a victory in itself. But the question remains, what do you think of the property?
I think it is fantastic. It's a beautiful view. But, Jess, what do you think of it? Do you think Theodric and Valineth are gonna like it?
I mean, I'm sure they will. I don't know you guys very well quite yet, so I can't say they'd have a solid opinion. I think Valineth would appreciate this actually quite a lot, and the only thing Theodric would be worried about is his horse. So as long as
Yes, he does.
look
I
after.
don't think they're. Look, the Woodman people and the people of Rohan come from like the same lineage, so I'm sure it'd be in his blood to come climb a giant tree. Yeah. But the question still stands, Jess. What do you think? Do you reckon you could get a good night's rest up here?
I mean, I think I'd be okay as long as I stayed inside and just stayed inside. That's all.
Alright then. We'll take it.
Oh.
You see her face go notably more pale.
and this woodman, his broad smile gets even wider. Oh, I knew you would like it. As I had mentioned, we do have a big summer blowout here. We don't charge by the night. In fact, we charge by the week. How long do you plan on staying?
Well, I don't know at the moment. Maybe we'll pay for a week. I don't really know what our plans are in town. My other companions haven't really told me what they're planning on doing, but I'm going to be speaking to Ungolma later today, perhaps, to discuss how I can help around town. So
It seems you've already ingratiated yourself with our chief. To be a outsider here and to be able to be so, well, explorative. Well, it doesn't surprise me that you would meet him. He's all over town. Basically, you just have to
yeah, we
walk
met him. Yeah,
10 steps to run into him.
yeah, I actually met him at the tavern, drinking some mead. It was quite good.
Cheers to that. Indeed. As a housewarming gift, if you do choose to stay here, if you would go look in that cabinet over there, we have actually an assortment of light snacks, some hors d'oeuvres to be able to enjoy for your week, but also we do have a tankard of mead. Not a tankard, a small casket of mead from the local tavern as well. If you do happen to stay here, part of the Big Summer Blowout deal, we are partnering ourselves with some of the local artisans around the area to be able to, help keep them employed. Times are tough these days.
Yes.
But for the week,
All right.
it would be 2 silver pennies per week for something such as this.
Fenor, pulls out 2 silver pennies and hands them to the dude.
Wonderful. Now, I will make sure to keep this ladder, since you are paid in full, I will make sure to keep this ladder staked to the ground. Make sure not to unlatch it when you do leave, as, sometimes strong breezes are picked up here, and it's very difficult to, retrieve it. If it's up here on the platform,
Yes.
it's much easier, but if it's blowing around in the wind, that's dangerous for everybody.
Actually, is there anywhere around town I'd be able to buy some of that climbing equipment that you have?
Oh, I crafted these myself, and he actually shows you, and it's literally like strips of leather with like these stones that are attached to it, like these holes drilled through it. Very rudimentary, like it is very like handcrafted, like he took like no time to be able to do this other than just drilling stone.
Yeah. By looking at it, can I attempt to commit this to memory? It's pretty rudimentary, but to understand how to make this just by looking at it, can I attempt to do that? What would that be? What role?
I'm going to have you make an investigation check for me.
3.
You look at this and you realize, yeah, you're a woodwright, but you're not sure if you quite have the tools or if you're willing to expend a bunch of tools to be able to carve out stone such as thick as this.
Yeah.
So you think about it. Yeah, you're not able to really garner any information of how to craft them from just looking at them. So. But the Market Green would be the place to be able to look if you are fancying some kind of artisanal goods, weapons. I can see that you're warriors. One of you are at least.
I'm also an artisan myself, actually. Some of my works are being sold by Baldur down in the market.
Oh, Baldur! It's been a few years since he's been around here, but I do enjoy his elven wine that he has. Oh, I'm very excited to be able to make my way down there, perhaps later this evening if he's set up.
Perhaps I'll see you there.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and zoom out. Jess, you're going to have to deal with this whole idea of you've made your way up, now you're going to have to begin the descent down if you ever want to leave this place. So mull that over a little bit while we jump over to Theodric. So Theodric, and I guess I could ask Fenor this as well. So at a certain point, Theodric, you find Fenor sometime after that you've gotten your place to inquire about the Axe Head. Ingolmer is currently with Theodric as he kind of makes his way down looking for you. But what's your immediate reactions as Ingolmer kind of finds you? Yeah, we could say that you made your way to the Market Green. You're just wandering around. You made your way to the Market Green and perusing.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and Golma, I was meaning to come find you to have a talk. I see you talking to Theodric here. How are we? How are we going? Oh,
Indeed.
Theodric, by the way. And I like point over to like the treehouse. It's like, where I've actually got us some lodging in one of the houses. I think Jess might still be up there, settling in, but
sh-
yeah.
she can get down, right? Like
Oh yeah, there's a ladder that goes all the way to the top of it.
she
It's,
didn't
yeah.
seem too keen on it, but it
Oh,
should
she
be quite the
climbed
inferior.
up there. She climbed
Oh.
up there quite swiftly the first time.
Well,
She only had to stop once.
it should be quite the experience. But that's not exactly why we're here. Fenor, do you still have that shard of the axe head that Kayla gave us? I think
Axe head.
yes, it
Oh,
was.
oh, the bit of metal that Yeah, let me because I've been walking around with my pack and stuff because I'm like searching for specific weapons and armor and stuff. Starts like going through it and oh yes, here we are. And I pull out the axe head. Yeah, and I kind of like catch it and like hand it to Theodric.
Thank you, Fenor. I'm just curious about something I saw while I was up in the Widowseld.
Oh,
And I
anything important?
I'm not sure yet. It could be nothing, but there was a large tapestry with a warrior who had an axe head just like this one.
Oh,
I don't know if it means anything, but
just is the axe head a hand axe head or is it like a great
Basically,
axe?
it's a two-handed, like one-bladed
yeah.
axe head. Like a bearded axe, I guess.
Okay, I just wanted to double check like how large this thing was.
Yeah, it's pretty large. It's like yay big.
but yes.
Actually, while we're here in the market, we might be able to ask someone to, if they can let me borrow their tools, or if I can buy some wood. I can actually make a new handle for that.
I mean, that could be good. I'm just curious as to why Kayla he held on to it quite. It was important to him.
Yeah, he was a crazy man in the woods, but like,
I mean, yeah, but I don't
it was
know.
shiny, like you know.
I don't
But
know.
he did. We have been able. He did say he was from here. He's pretty sure. So maybe it's something that he took.
Yeah. And I turn and I present the piece to Engelmar.
Yeah,
for him
you're
to look at.
surprised, Theodric, with how finely crafted this is. It's been a while since you've seen this specific piece, especially under the circumstances when you first saw it. It was in dark Mirkwood, and everything seemed just, dismal. You take a look at it before you hand it over, and it's a pretty large axe head, and you can see that it's the engravings. Like, this isn't just like a typical artisan that does this. This looks intricate, beautifully woven, kind of like these like Celtic knots to a degree, and it kind of forms itself into this wolf head as the muzzle goes towards the blade of the axe. This, from initial investigation, looks almost identical to what you saw in the tapestry. You hand it over to Ingolmer, and he's like, "Oh, well, what do we have here?" And he picks it up, and he holds it, and he examines it, and his face is stoic as but he doesn't seem to be like looking it over. A minute passes. 2 minutes pass. And his expression just stays the same.
Engelmar? Engelmar, are you well?
And he puts it he kind of like puts it down like in front of him, and he says, "I don't know if you understand exactly what you found on your travels." And he kind of like looks side to side, and he kind of pulls you over to like one of the kind of small alleyways. This is not just a house relic of our people. This axe, well, the head of this axe, has sentimental value to me. And you can see that, like, as he speaks, like, his sureness in his voice that you are so used to, kind of begins to shake a little bit. Like, this big, strong man, he's showing vulnerability for the first time. It's a shame deep shame of mine. And to be honest, I never thought I would see this, nor its wielder again. Years back. And he kind of like chokes up a little bit. You see, years back, when my oldest son, oldest son, Ingold, he was 7 years old. There was a time when the forest was dark. Darker than it was these days, at least. There was a time that us woodmen, we had to take up arms. We began to expand our borders. And with that, we met fierce opposition. Goblins. Orcs. There was a time that we hid behind these walls. We were at a breaking point. I do find that perhaps it was my sign of weakness and my sign of worry. But one night, Ingold, he was just a boy, 7 years old. He took my axe, Wolfbiter. And he went out to end it. He thought if he could get to the leader of the goblins, if he could kill them. We awoke the next morning. That was the last that I had seen of my son. I have not heard any words since. My fear is that he perished on his journey. I shudder to think, my young son, what he was feeling in his last moments. And with him, well, I lost Wolfbiter. It's a family heirloom. It dates all the way back to the founding. All the way back to the founding of House Isrod. It's a treasure that, well, it's irreplaceable. Tell me, how again did you come by this?
During our travels through the Mirkwood, we met a man who was... He was not exactly sane. He claimed to have escaped from orcs. And he claimed to have been held captive in a... I've just blanked on the name. Dol Guldur. He claims to have been held captive by orcs at Dol Guldur. When we
He
met
was actually
him,
with us in the tavern.
Yes, he's still in the tavern.
Yes, the old man who was traveling with us should still be with Baldur and Belgo. It was on his person when we found him.
He lets out kind of like a sigh. I'm gonna have you make the two of you make an insight check for me.
A 5.
I got a 15, but it was teetering on a 20 for so long.
With that 15, you do hint a note of crestfallenness. Well, many say that there are many things that are lost to this great wood, and only time reveals the truth behind history, memory. I do ask the two of you, I know that this is yours. Treasure you've claimed on your journeys. And surely it's not treasure that you haven't fought for. To some degree.
I think it goes without saying that we're more than happy to return this to you.
He looks to you, Fenor.
Fëanor is thinking because this is just, like it's like a broken axe head, right? Like it's like it's
so
not.
the axe head is not broken. It's completely intact, but it doesn't have a shaft.
Mhm.
And it's actually, it looks pretty flawless. Like the steel looks very,
Yeah.
very nice steel. So, yeah, it's not like a fractured. It's
Okay,
just a,
yeah.
the
I
axe
just
head.
he called it a shard before, so I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was. It's all good. I have no opposition to this returning back to its house and its peoples, but I do think it should be restored fully. And Anglemore, if this was once yours, and your son took it into battle, then if your son is now gone, he probably died a warrior's death. That is something you'll have to carry with yourself with this axe. The pride and the knowledge that he was a warrior. So it should be restored to how it was when his hands touched it. Don't let this become a relic of your house. Use it to keep your people safe.
Indeed. Thank you, the both of you, for returning this home. House Isrod is in your debt. Your group has officially unlocked Ingolmer as a patron. What this means is it carries many effects when you are in their specific lands of your patron. And so the lands that are within here, let me go ahead and pull up the map. So when you are dwelling within, so this is Woodman Hall. When you're dwelling anywhere within basically west of the, or east of the Anduin, anywhere between here and Roskabel, all the way to the Black Tarn, which is down here, you will gain benefits and added safety. Not only will the travel that you will be having be like rolls will, basically the encounters aren't going to be nearly as bad, but it comes with a number of boons as well. While within the land, for traveling checks and all that kind of stuff, those can be made at a +2 while you were basically there within those lands. And so doesn't necessarily mean you've unlocked Woodland Hall as a sanctuary, but you've unlocked Ingolmer as a patron. So
yeah, his personal house like owes us a favor.
Exactly.
This is what he's.
Exactly.
So we're friends of him, not the town yet.
Right.
Cool.
Yet.
And with that, he kind of looks to the both of you and says, "Indeed, Wolfbiter will once again protect these lands, protect these walls, and the people within it. May the memory of my son live on through this." And he kind of gives like a quarter smile, and he kind of grasps the shard firmly in his hands and says, "Well, it seems fate is fortuitous, bringing you here at such a time. We live in times of peace, but in my experience, where there is peace, there's a darkness that looms out there somewhere. I would be more than happy to have you and your kin join me at the Folk-moot at the end of the... Join me at the Folk-moot as my invited guest at the end of the summer. On the last day of July, when the sun is
I would
highest
be
in
on
the
it.
sky, the Folk-moot will begin. Representatives from all over the cultures of the woodmen all the settlements will meet. It is here that we discuss, well, not only our day-to-day activities, the things that concern our people, but also things from abroad. News. Action we must take. Clearly you are well-traveled. Well-traveled enough, at least in Mirkwood, to be able to find something like this. If you have news to share with the Woodmen, by my word, they will have your ear. I cannot make any promises of any action, but the Woodmen will at least hear you.
We thank you very much for this opportunity and for your favor, Anglomar. I'm not sure exactly what Fenor plans on doing, but I would definitely like to join you at the Folk-moot.
Yeah, so it was actually part of what I wanted to talk to Inglemore. I want to help the different towns and the different places. I want to travel across all of the Woodman territories and help establish a stronger safety net, a better defense by training people, providing what support I can, reinforcing settlements, dealing with like even pests like such as wolves and wild animals, trying to establish a stronger network throughout all of the Woodman lands.
As of now, the towns that are associated, the strongholds that are associated with the Woodmen, while we might be few in number, we are strong, and they could benefit from those such as you. There is Rowanhold. Galavira will be more than happy, I'm sure, to require your assistance.
Is that the one that I had been to before?
Yes, with the
No,
dwarves.
yeah. Oh yes, I've actually been to Rowanhold. Galavira, quite a nice lady. Well, actually, Theodric, remember when I got a sack thrown over my head in Mirkwood? That was the other time that happened.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was quite good. Yeah, killed a warg there. It's quite a good adventure.
You never cease to surprise me. Intriguing indeed. Well, perhaps if you go there, you'll be able to see how Rowanhold holds up these days. I don't know the last time you visited, but it's become a bulwark against the shadow.
It is good to hear. I'll definitely have to drop by and see how the place is going. See how the old place is holding up.
Indeed. One of the other settlements that we have is Woodman Town. I don't know if you've made your way that far south, but it is run by Fridwold. He is the chief runner and chief emissary that makes his way between all of the settlements, so he is rarely there and very difficult to catch. But if you are looking for word about news from abroad, he's a good person to ask. If you make your way deeper into the wood, all the way to the Black Tarn, well, probably our smallest settlement there, Ameliota. She leads a small group down there. They're building. It's been a while to hear from them, but she will also be at the Folk-moot. Roskabel? Roskabel. It's an odd place, but a safe one. For now. Radagast the Brown lives there. He takes control of, well, all diplomatic matters that come in and out of there. He's cast enchantments for greater protection. But you can visit Radagast as well. Furthermore,
Well, good to see Radagast again.
You've seen Radagast
Yes.
as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's an acquaintance of mine. We had some drinks together in Esgaroth.
He's the one who
The-
told you to head to the mountain hall, wasn't he?
Correct. I fear I haven't been exactly forthcoming with everything, Engelma.
He
And
looks
I hope
kind
that
of.
you'll forgive me.
He looks a little
Um,
bit perturbed by that, and he kind of narrows his
Oh.
gaze at you a little bit.
Just my main goal here, and I guess my overarching quest, I suppose, is I'm not sure if you've seen it happen before, but sometimes I find myself during combat overcome with a horrific rage overcomes me, and it generally doesn't let up until the battle is long over. I've been traveling for a while trying to deal with this, to find some way to overcome this, and that's when I met Radagast in Esgaroth, and he pointed me in the direction of Lord Heartfast at Mountain Hall, and claimed that this blood rage may be part of my shared heritage with your people, which is why I'm here.
His furrowed brow lessens and eases. Ah, the battlefield. I will say, not only is it not for the light of heart, but many men lose themselves when fighting to protect those that they love, or even fighting for self-preservance. It's not something to be ashamed of. But if you are looking for a way to perhaps hone it, control it, Lord Heartfast might be the man to talk to about such things. As you had mentioned, he is a fierce warrior on the battlefield, hence the reason, well, the people of Mountain Hall have declared him their leader. But do be warned, he is a stern figure. Strong leader indeed, but not one in the way of being eloquent with his words. But don't worry, he's a fierce, fierce friend of the Woodman. And, well, if you inquire correctly and approach him with sincerity, I do find that he may help you on your path to being able to control this rage of yours.
That is good to hear. So far, my main go-to for controlling that rage is having Fenor generally tackle me or attempt to knock me out, and so far it's been
Yeah.
working, but
Yeah, it's not sustainable though. Like,
no.
yeah.
Well, it's good
What?
that you
The
have
casualties
friends to
have
rely
been
on.
limited.
He chuckles a little bit. It's good to
Yeah.
have friends to rely on, but I do understand that it is something that everybody must deal with. Our own demons, per se. Our own darknesses. I wish you all of the luck in the world to be able to control this rage and hopefully harness it, all for the betterment of the Free Peoples. I see goodness in you. I see goodness in, well, all that are around you. You've led my friend Baldur here, in one piece, in fact. And clearly you're well acquainted with my people, the leaders of my people. You have given me no reason not to trust you. And I consider you both an ally. I consider those who consider you allies as allies. That's not a simple thing. While you are here, and during your stay here at Woodland Hall, I am at your service. Don't think of me as a leader that, well, you may be trouble with bothering. I am just one of the woodmen. I'm here to help in any way that I can. Both visitors and both locals. Well, I'll see if I can make time if you do inquire about anything that you need. But until then, I give you my serious gratitude and thanks. And he clasps the axe head in his hands. Now, what to do about a shaft for this? And he looks to you, Fenor. And at that point, we're gonna go ahead and cut that scene, making our way back to Jess. So Jess, I'm actually Fenor and Theodric. I'm gonna have you both of you roll d12s while this whole thing's going. So, Jess, the woodman had made his way down. The woodman, which he introduces himself as the name of Anselm. He makes his way down along with Fenor. You are at the top of this treehouse, all alone, unsure of what to do. What are your plans? What are you doing, Jess, as you stand, as you stay at the top of this treehouse?
I sit in the very middle of the floor of like the main room, and I just do that for like a good 5 to 10 minutes. And I think what's going through her head right now is she's trying to remember everything that her nan told her about the trees and the great wisdoms that forest holds, and all the lessons that, you know, she was taught in those woods surrounding her home. And then after that, she'll slowly get up and just sort of investigate the rooms. She'll take a look at the snack cupboard and see like what sort of kitchen situation she's working with here.
So as you investigate and you look through all of the cupboards, you see the snacks that Anselm had spoken to you of. And it's a good amount of dried fruits, probably enough for about 4 people for a week. So it's like the entire cupboard is pretty filled. So like kind of mostly dried fruits, some kind of root vegetables and of the kind. Some kind of like sweet cakes and cookies and crackers and things like that. But also you see kind of the cask of mead, and right next to it there's an entire basically a very fresh drinking water. You have no idea how they got this up here, but they have a entire like barrel of like very clean water. There's no cooking space per se, as there's no pots and pans. I mean, you can make counter space by pushing some of like the wardrobes and stuff together, but you can tell that this is not designed for cooking. I'm gonna have you make a perception check for that.
Okay. Oh dear. I don't think I could stay here if there's no cooking. Perception. That's not bad. It's 16.
16. Everything is made of wood. And being so high up above the ground, any lit fires or anything of the kind probably would not be a good idea. That's something that you can assume why there's no kitchen within these trees.
Okay. Okay. What are the bedrooms like?
The bedrooms are varying. So there's kind of the large great room, and then there's kind of like 3 rooms. There's one that's up above where you have to kind of climb a ladder, and then there's the 2 breezeway ones. They're all about the same size and kind of same shape and demeanor. You can kind of make it however you want. They're circular, and they probably span, lay Theodric down 2 or 3 times. So they're cozy. But they are not enormous either.
I'm now a unit of measurement.
You are a unit of measurement. You are the tallest of the group, and so you are the unit of
Yeah,
measurement.
I mean, you make about 3 of me, so...
So it's very cozy for a hobbit. Actually quite spacious for a hobbit. The roofs are pretty tall. Yeah, the roofs are pretty tall, but it's very spacious, and there's about 3 windows that extend on either side that basically you can see into the trees, and in some spots you actually get views of Woodland and even the Mirkwood beyond from the other side. They're nice, they're simple, they're whatever you can make them to be, essentially, is how they're designed.
Okay. after like sort of steeling herself a little bit, and the words of her grandmother still ringing in her head, she'll go out onto like the balcony area and just try to appreciate what she doesn't necessarily want to appreciate.
Make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Okay. Who saw this coming? 18.
You're appreciative of it. Your fears are kind of cast aside as you've gotten used to your time up here, and you look around, and it genuinely is beautiful. It's a very different view from what you've seen before. One of the things that actually gets brought up as like kind of like the trees around you is the times that maybe you've climbed trees, specifically when you climbed the party tree on kind of the low-hanging branches when you were a little bit younger. I know you're young, but when you were a little bit younger, like as a kid, younger as a kid, and you look out amongst kind of the Shire around you, but you see something very different. You see a bunch of large houses. You see, you know, this dense forest that's around you. You're very far from home, but you still appreciate the beauty of it.
Yeah, I think there's like a full sort of realization at this point, and it's just like, oh, I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Exactly.
Mm.
Your friend Dorothy will tell you that.
Yep. Yep. Well, she mostly tells her dog for some reason. I don't know why she talks to her dog so much. Cool. So I think I've done everything I need to up here.
Okay.
So yeah, I will just climb down before my nerve fails me, I think.
Yep. As you begin to climb, I'm gonna have you make a dexterity saving throw as you begin to climb.
I gotta ask, like, how far apart are the rungs in this ladder?
They're actually pretty close. They're not horribly far. If anything, it was actually relatively uncomfortable for Fenor to climb because he would have to skip a few in order. So like they're made to be pretty easily traversable by pretty much hobbits, dwarves, any of the kind. Yeah. Most likely dwarves aren't climbing up here, and most likely hobbits aren't climbing up here, but it's a
I mean, probably kids.
Yeah, or kids. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
I got a 10.
10. You're able to make your way down just fine. There's not a breeze or anything that's frightening. You again steeled yourself enough to be able to make your way all the way down. Your feet touch solid ground, and you are relieved once again.
Yeah, there's just like a little slight sagging of the knees when like that weird phantom feeling that you get behind your knees in high places. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just that goes away. Okay, she'll take a few deep breaths and then probably, okay. Did we arrange to meet anywhere, or?
I'm assuming not. So if you have any tasks
not really.
that you want to, any tasks that you want to kind of wander around and look for. I know in your mind, Jess, you are looking for something to be able to maybe find some kind of kindred spirit within this town. You're feeling very out of place. Maybe those urges and those longings are...
a little bit. Like, especially since she's just, like, sat that amount of time and trying to reconnect with, like, this member of her family that's passed on, that taught her a lot. She will try and recreate the days, much more carefree days, I think, and go off and see if I can find like a stream or some such to pick up, see if I can find any more crystals.
Yeah, perfect. You wander around actually for the remainder of the day. You don't see any of your companions as you do walk. But you realize as you walk around all of this town, it's not only hilly, but it's quite large, actually. It's one of those kind of landscapes that, because it's so tall, there's a lot of nooks and crannies to explore. And so you kind of, again, you feel like a child as you do so. You look past the gates and you hear the trickle of water. And there is actually a small river that goes by the side of Woodland Hall, where there is a kind of set of makeshift docks. You find your way out there in search of crystals, in search of anything that could be useful. I'm going to have you make a perception or investigation check.
I'm better at perception. Also, Aussie redeemed roll a d16, so you should do that.
Oh, heck yeah. I'll do that. I got a 10.
I also got a 10. Samesies!
Hey. With that, you're able to look around, and you begin scouring kind of the banks for crystals or anything of the kind. There aren't a lot of people that are here, but you do see a kind of elderly woman looking like she's doing something pretty similar, not too far off. She's in kind of the shallows. Her dress, she's kind of tied up a little bit to reveal, like, so she could walk through, and she's bending down, and you can see that she's picking up stones specifically, and like kind of dropping some, and like kind of like nodding and putting them in like a little pouch that she has. This is very familiar behavior to you.
Yeah. I won't bother tying up my skirts because if she's like knee deep, then it's a lost cause.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'll just like go up beside her and say, excuse me, sorry to bother. Have you found anything?
She looks around and she doesn't see anything, and then she looks down like a little, like immediately like surprised. And she,
Oh, yes, dearie. What can I do for you? I didn't expect to see. Well, Hobbit, it's been quite some time. Few years, in fact.
Oh, that's okay. I get that a lot, actually.
I'm sorry, no offense.
Oh, no, I get that quite a lot. Like I said, I'm Jess.
My name is Giselda. It's a pleasure to meet you.
That's a lovely name. It's beautiful.
Jess is a lovely name as well. I've never heard of
Oh,
a hobbit. The hobbits that I'm more akin to aren't quite as put together as you. You're a beautiful one, aren't you?
Oh, thank you. It's my heritage. Jessamine Sackville Baggins. You might have heard of us.
The name doesn't seem to ring a bell, but clearly if this is something to do with your heritage, you must come from a good family. You make good first impressions.
Of course, the best family. I mean, in my opinion.
Very proud of family. That's something to be coveted in these days.
Of course, family binds us all together.
It does. But what brings you out here, small one?
Oh, I was just wondering, what sort of crystals you could collect down here. I've never been in this part of the world before.
Ah, crystals.
you seem to be, and she looks at you and she sees like the crystals around your neck.
Like
and
very
she's, like,
decorated.
Yeah, very decorated. And she kind of like puts two and two together and says,
Ah, and kindred spirits, as it were. Well, the crystals that I'm looking for are ones that have energy. You see, there aren't many of those that are out here collecting, and so in time, Mirkwood is a magical place. It does deposit a number of crystals on our shores every now and then.
Really?
Yes.
That's so fascinating. Do you mind if I looked with you?
Please. I've never had actually company doing this before. I'm very pleased to be able to perhaps show off some of my skills or learn a thing or two from someone who clearly has wonderful interests, and you can tell that she's really like she's super into this. The fact that like this is the first time she's met anybody who is right kind of like right on par with what she's doing.
It melts my heart a little bit because like my grandmother was the one who taught me everything. Okay. Yes, I go, oh, of course, I'm happy to teach you everything I know. I'm still learning myself, but I'm sure if we put our heads together, we can give this thing a proper try.
Yes, two heads are better than one, of course.
you see, and she pulls out like a number of crystals before you start kind of looking around, kind of the shallows for them. She shows you like all the ones that she found. She tells you about some of the crystals that are like, oh yeah, this one has like just a little bit of energy left. Or it's like, oh, I found this one the other day, and like she is going into all of the things, and then she like points up at the stars, and she's like,
It looks like it's going to be a fortuitous night for us to be able to find something. Something tells me in the morning there will be a few more of these very energized crystals that we can collect. How long do you plan on staying, dearie?
I think we're here for a week at least, maybe the whole summer.
and she
I
kind
haven't
of just like
really made any
giddily.
plans yet.
Oh, I have a thing or two to teach you.
Oh, so do I. Have you ever tried recharging your crystals?
No, I'm afraid not. That would save me a lot of time and these old knees some aching by searching these shores if I could recharge crystals.
Well, I'm not sure how well it works, but back home in the Shire, we would do it by putting them out in moonlight. Full moon works best, but if you can't put them out in moonlight, if you make some moon water, you can soak them overnight, which is why it's good to have moon water handy in case your crystals need recharging, like in the middle of the month when the moon is at its weakest.
Indeed. Moonlight is hard to come by here in Mirkwood, but there are a few spots out amongst the hilltops that we might be able to collect some moon water, or even perhaps allow our crystals to recharge. Oh, I so look forward to building this friendship with you, young one.
Yeah. Well, I do too. I had a feeling that I was going to meet someone absolutely incredible today. Now, important thing about moon water is that if you can't find it organically, it's a little bit hard to come by. You can make it yourself if you just put a clear bowl or whatever receptacle you have out in the full moonlight. And the more surface area the water has to the moon, the better quality it is.
Ah, I see. I think I might have just the thing. If you would like to follow me back to my place, you can see my workshop.
Of course!
Perhaps it's well, it's humble, but perhaps we can look together.
Oh, of course, I would be honored.
And so you make your way back, and you spend a vast majority of your time here during your stay with Giselda. The more that you learn about her, the more you really start to kind of see your grandmother in her. And this is something that Woodland Hall is starting to feel more like a home away from home. Definitely more homey than the Easterly Inn. You're starting to think, perhaps this adventure is something that something that you're glad that you went on. Which is where we're going to bring us to our different roles. So these are going to be the ones that are going to be at disadvantage for all of you. So starting with Fenor, you're going to start kind of your departure. Oh, by the way, your D12s. What were those results?
I got a 9. And Theodric got a 2.
Okay, perfect. So, unfortunately, Theodric, as you look around, if there's anything specifically at the Market Green that you are looking for, you're unable to come by them so much. The things that seem to be interesting are kind of more of your common traveling gears. If you are, into perhaps maybe spending some of your coin to purchase those, that would be kind of what is readily available to you. Fenor, for you, was there anything specifically that you were looking for like weapons or armor, like anything specific?
Where is it? I was looking to potentially get some slightly better armor. I just wasn't sure if it was going to affect my stealthing abilities.
Okay.
Because it would be a medium armor half plate, as opposed to my medium armor corset of mail.
Okay. So the half plate that will affect your stealth your stealthiness. The only thing that would make it probably better is if it was elven made. Unfortunately, with the roll that you made, you have found some plate mail. You found some kind of clunky dwarven kind of craft plate that it looks pretty nice, but it definitely wasn't made for you. But nothing of the elven type that is here. And this is something that you actually mark down in your kind of memory stores going forward. Perhaps trade could be expanded from Woodland Hall. You know that Baldur has made his way down here, and he sells a lot of goods like wines and that kind of stuff. But there might be able to, in the future, in future years, increase trade between Woodland Hall and the Woodmen here, because they could all benefit from that as well, some extra protection. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, you do find kind of your general plethora of just kind of like regular common gears, weapons, armor. You don't find any like heavy armors per se, but pretty much you can, at one point or another during your stay here, you found some medium armors, some light armors, and pretty much kind of like your martial and light weapons as well.
Yeah, and if the only other thing that I would have been looking for is essentially like caltrops. Just like small spike things that I'd be able to like throw behind me, or even perhaps something like ball bearings if I can find them, like something similar, like small metal like balls, like I could throw them and perhaps trip up in it.
I'm gonna have you
Something
roll
like that,
just a straight D20 for me. No modifiers or anything.
I have 5.
5. You are able to find a small bag of ball bearings that have 20 ball bearings in them. So nothing huge, but maybe enough to cover like a 5-foot area.
You know, he'll think about it, but he'll probably just leave that for now.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah. Other than that, there's nothing else in particular that he was looking for.
Okay.
He was just looking for some slightly better armor. He's got a good array of weapons. Actually, perhaps he'll find someone who's selling some like decent wood to be able to carve like a more intricate handle for this axe.
Yeah. You are able to, again, the number of time that you spent during your time here, you do find actually some very good quality wood. If the woodmen
like
know anything, they know good wood.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
You're able to do that. And
what is the color of the banner for the family house?
Yes, it is
like for the wolf one.
Like a deep like emerald green.
Okay, so he would probably try to Fenor would probably try to stain the wood after he would initially start by like fire hardening this hardwood, but then he would probably after like sanding it back would probably rub like freshly like green like trees, like he'd like break it up and like rub that green into it so it has like that like almost like green sheen over all the wooden handle, almost like, you know, almost like it might be a little bit dull, but like almost reminiscent of like its like houses colors.
Yeah, for sure. You do this all kind of with Ingolmer. You talk to him about like what would be good and like kind of like the etchings, and he's very impressed with the work that you've done. But without too much time that passes, you do realize the end of the summer will be here before you know it, and you have a number of places to visit. Which brings us to the question. There are 3 of the 4 places that I mentioned that you will be able to visit in the amount of time that you have. All the way, the furthest one will be the Black Tarn, all the way to kind of the southeast. Let me pull up the map here so you can see kind of what I'm looking at. So the Black Tarn, it's going to be this area right down here. Then you have Rossabel, and then you have Woodman Hall, and then Mountain Hall, or Woodman Town and then Mountain Hall. If you choose Mountain Hall, that's going to take up 2 of those spots because it's by far the furthest. Or you could visit all 3 of these places within that.
Fenor, knowing that eventually they probably will head over to Mountain Hall, like he probably explores the area around Woodman Hall, but probably never ventures far enough over towards the mountains. He's probably going to be exploring through, trying to let me see, I could go to it. trying to talk, like go to the Black Tarn and help Emiliota like, establish some like better defenses, like maybe even like help clean up some of the roads and stuff on the way up and down. Going through like Fridwald at Woodman Town, seeing if he can find him, maybe even talking to some of the people that he did get to know in his like brief like stay there. And hopefully just traveling to those main three and like trying to stop at places like Rowanhold and different holds and ranches and properties and stuff all throughout. But really trying to keep the roads safer and trying to help establish like a better infrastructure and stuff between them all.
So the question for
helping
you
where
then,
he can.
question for you is, which order do you want to visit each of these in? Because you said you wanted to come back to Woodland Hall, or do you want to like go do kind of like a tour and like visit everything before coming back to Woodland Hall?
What's the closest one to where I currently am?
Rowanhold is technically the closest one. That'll take you due east a little bit into the forest, and then just to the south is going to be a little ways to the south is Woodman Town, and then further south is Roscabel, and a little bit from that is going to, east from that is going to be the Black Tarn. So the furthest one is going to be the Black Tarn.
Yeah. I think to start with, he would probably do like a cursory visit to Rowanhold.
Okay.
And then he would come back, but after that initial travel, he would probably set out on a much longer venture to take him over the next couple months. Gives him some time to like go out and do stuff on his own, but also to properly like say goodbye to his friends, and then he's going to see them like before the end of summer.
Yep.
And to like kind of part ways for a brief while. So
you do so. As you make your way to Rowanhold, you depart. Everybody does meet you and bids you farewell. Question, do you all make plans on what the plan is before making your way to the Folk-moot? That's also another important thing. So if some of you do plan on leaving the walls, a good meetup point to be able to do so before making your way down to Roscabel for the Folk-moot at the end of July. It is about from Woodman Hall, I guess it depends on the route that you take through the woods. If you're not adept at going through the woods, it'll probably take you about a week and a half to get down. If you go out onto kind of like the main Wilderland stretch, and then jump back into the forest, that will take you probably about 4-ish days. So it'll cut your travel down by about 3 days if you go on the outside.
I think with all the adventuring he's doing, Fenor might just say he's going to meet them there. Because he's going to be traveling between these places. He might even be able to like prepare for when they do show up, and be able to be like, oh hey, this is like Roscabel, and like go around the place and be able to show them around and like know people. But probably that he's going to meet them there. He probably does have a bit of a talk with Theodric, because like Theodric wants to be there to talk to Lord Hardfast. Is there anything else that he's really wanting to address at this Folk-moot?
Well, this is something that you guys can also discuss like when you meet there, but I think this is also a very perfect time. If there's anything that each of your characters maybe wants some insight on that maybe the Woodman you think might be helpful for, because again, you're meeting with all of the leaders, and you are actually invited as like a voice within this. You're not just basically standing from the outside and watching. So if there's anything you want to bring up to the Woodman, think about that. And this is something you can tell kind of that now, or you can do it at when we do eventually meet up at Roscabel together.
Yeah, Fenor would probably like say like, I think what I want to do is I want to establish better connections between this place and the rest of Middle-earth, but I need to see what their issues are. I can't be here. I have to go out and explore and see what issues they face, so I might bring it to their leaders. And maybe by living those experiences, I can help fix some of those issues. So I can't stay. I know I'm running off again, but it's what I feel is right to do. Yeah.
Okay. Jess is gonna do something hilarious. She is going to like look at you very earnestly, take both of your hands in her hands, and she will say, "Follow your heart, Fenor."
I won't be gone forever. And I'll be able to meet you down in Roscabel for the Folk-moot, but I don't know if we'll run into each other much before then, so at least a couple months of no Fenor.
Well, I wish you good luck and safety. I think I'm going to stay here and help the people of Woodman Hall fortify their defenses and just kind of keep things running. It seems like any manpower they could use here is quite appreciated. But yes, we'll probably travel down with Anglemer to Roscabel in time for the Folk-moot.
Yes, Fenor, do what you must. In fact, while I am here, I found quite a few wonderful things to be able to investigate, discover, maybe ingratiate myself with the people here, the citizenry, in fact. Yes, this place is very interesting, nothing like I've seen before. Theodric, Jess, if you have anything that you require my assistance with, I am more than happy to help. But we will meet you down in Roscabel. I think that is an astute idea.
Just keep them on the straight and narrow. They can get pretty wild sometimes, and they need some voice of reason with me gone.
Yes, the one who ran off with spiders on his tail is the voice of reason.
And who's the one who defeated all the spiders, protecting the entire group?
All
Yes,
I must
no
say
one.
is don't go
They're
burning
all
down
alive.
the Mirkwood. If I see any fires off in the distance, I'll know where you are.
Look, I wish that weren't true, but
You're what, 3 for
Okay.
3 now?
Fenor,
Yeah.
I wasn't worried before, but now I am slightly concerned. What's this about?
I've almost died every time I've gone off alone into the woods.
Oh,
He-
maybe you shouldn't do that then.
Jess, needless to say, he thinks he's a dragon. He breathes
That
fire.
sounds even more dangerous. Should we?
Yep.
Is he an evil dragon? I think dragons
Uh,
are.
No, just
Well, you'll have to
rather
find out
foolhardy.
eventually.
He's just a rather foolhardy dragon.
Hmm.
But he does seem to always amble on back to us, so... we
I
can't
have
be too worried
investigated
about
him. I have investigated with him while he sleeps, and I will say one thing: he does not have dragon sickness.
No, I don't really care for material things that much.
Okay.
Mm,
Would you like some mini quiches for the rope?
Oh, I would love some mini quiches.
Okay. I give him like these, like little, like they're cupcake-sized quiches.
And he goes, and while I'm gone, could you please hold on to this? And I pull out the little rock that I've had in my pocket. Yeah, it's important to me. So if you could hold on to that for me while I'm gone,
Of course.
I'd appreciate it.
Would you like me to keep it separate from my other rocks, like in case?
No,
they're...
I'm sure it would like friends. Yeah,
Oh, okay. It's that kind of rock. Okay, perfect. I
yeah.
will keep it very safe.
His name is Jefferson. Keep him. Let him be in the sun a few times every. He's like Fenor's
Yeah.
looking straight at Theodric while he's saying this, like giving him a what a loaded.
Well, it seems like
Jess is taking you completely seriously.
It seems
she's,
like based off of Jess's
she's gotten out a
behavior-
little notepad and she's like writing down all your little instructions.
It seems based off of Jess's behavior, I think it might do good for some moonlight instead of sunlight.
Oh no, every rock is different, and if you're carrying this around for a while, then it's best to tune to like your specific personality. Like women, we're more in tune with the stars and the moon.
Yeah, this guy's a little bit of a
it's-
warrior.
Yeah, it's just
Use him in combat at least once while I'm gone.
If-
Okay, Theodric, can you
He
help me
loves the
get into
taste of
combat
blood.
so I can do that?
I'm sure we'll be fine. Yes,
Yeah,
Fenor.
now I need to get it into combat. So
Right.
It looks
Oh,
will
long.
we have
It
like
looks
a
long
sparring
and
session or
flat. I
something?
think he'd be good for a skipping rock.
No, don't. You might never find it again.
Doing battle against the waves. Ho ho.
But if you throw it away, it could attract all sorts of evil.
Hence the combat
Energies.
part.
Yes, combat to traded to defend against harmful weapons.
Anyway, these quiches, they look delicious.
You don't get any.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
you.
just smack Theodric's hand as he goes to
Oh
me.
yeah, great.
These are for Fenor.
Well, until
Aw.
we meet again, Fenor. Huzzah!
may-
He pulls out a drink
Oh,
out of
huzzah!
nowhere.
I may be ducking back into town very briefly in about a week or so. Going to check in on some old companions, some old acquaintances, but if I do end up making it back to town, I'll make sure to say hi, but that'll probably be my only stop home.
Okay.
Do what you must.
What we call home.
Well, keep your head on a swivel out there, Fenor.
Stay safe.
we've
Rush
had-
Brown Horse adequately. Valnith, don't get too stuck in the books. Go make sure you talk to the people and make sure you ingratiate yourself to them that way.
Oh, trust
While
me,
learning
I
someone's
find in my
history can
time-
be very helpful, talking to the locals, you know the drill.
Indeed, I find in my time the most wisdom can be acquired from experience, and talking to people who have plenty of experience. Trust me, they're gonna be tired of me by the time that this summer is over.
This is a month that I've been really looking forward to.
Me too.
Well, I'm off. And like, where are we saying bye? Like near the front gates or something?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Fenor's gonna blow into his whistle, and Nim comes around and he's going to like hop up on top of him. Nim's still got like no saddle or anything like that, and he's like, "Well, friends, hopefully we meet on good terms. Hopefully nothing bad has befallen any of us by the time we meet again."
Indeed. What a majestic stallion. I mean, deer.
Yeah. And Fenor is going to just kind of like start to ride off with Nim. He's going to ride off into the tree line.
And we bid you adieu. So your first order of business is going to be Rowanhold. You haven't quite made your way to Rowanhold from this specific location, but based off of some general directions, that you basically head a little bit due southeast. With that being the case, I'm going to have you make a survival check, or survival check. This is going to be the one that is at disadvantage. So your disadvantage roll.
A 5.
5. It takes a lot longer to arrive at Rowanhold than you thought. The trees are dense and thick. It doesn't seem as dark as it did off the elf path. You do run into a tracker or two hunters in your time, and they try to point you in the right direction, but you and Nim, very unfamiliar with this wood, you find it very difficult to pick up any kind of trail and tracks. So instead of what probably should have taken you somewhere between 3 to 4 days to get to Rowanhold, has taken you over a week. But you do eventually come into a small clearing of a very familiar looking settlement. In fact, it looks in much better shape than when you had last arrived. If you remember back in the day, the settlement was lit on fire by goblins and pretty much was trying to be burnt to the ground, to which you helped to repair to a degree before your departure with your dwarven companions. But you do see a very familiar looking longhouse that is kind of out the top of a hill. It's basically like a small version of Woodland Hall now that you think about it. But Rowanhold does seem to be much better fortified than when you first arrived, and it's definitely Rowanhold. I'm gonna have you make a perception or investigation check for me as you ride up.
A 10.
A 10. As you pass through the front gates, you couldn't help but notice the palisade that surrounds the entirety of the town is covered in what looks to be kind of almost this like blackened material. You rub kind of your finger on it and nothing comes off, but it looks to be kind of like this condensed ash substance. Based off of your kind of general thoughts, this perhaps is maybe some kind of fireproofing that has been laid upon.
It's probably something that Fenor himself has probably done in the time that he's like been doing things. Like specific tools or something if you only have access to wood, like things, and like you don't want it to burn, coat of an ash.
Mhm.
So he's like, oh yes, and he's like still upon Nim. He gives him a little scratch behind the ear and is like, well, back somewhere familiar.
They heard Fenor was coming, so they had to fireproof the place.
Uh,
That's okay, Fenor. You still got your net. That's fine.
That's true.
yes.
That's a good point. If anyone tries to throw a sack on your head, you can net them first.
Oh god, that is ridiculously funny to me. It's like what.
As you make your way through the front gates, you're greeted with a few familiar faces. Some of the townsfolk that were there from your initial encounter here, and they all look relatively friendly. Some of the faces, though, seem quite battle-hardened. The younger individuals have scarring on their face as if they've been in fights, something like that. They don't look mortally like wounded or like limbs chopped off or anything, but this is definitely a more hardened people than you had seen first, and you can tell just based off of their general demeanor that they're not as fearful as they were when you made your way in the first place. But at the very top of the hill, you see what looked to be a woman emerge from the great longhouse. This looks to be Galavira in very familiar attire, holding what looks to be a spear. And she looks down upon and sees you ride in with Nim, and she opens welcoming arms and says, "Ah, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?" as you ride your way up to the top.
Ah, Galavira, long time no see.
Indeed.
I see that this place seems to be doing a bit better.
Well, I will
How have you been?
say-
I've just been in Woodman Hall, and they've said that this place has become a bit of a bastion against the Shadow and its forces.
Well, they give us too much credit. But after our combat against Grey Muzzle Hob, and us being held hostage, we found ourselves a little bit more confidence. You see, we're at least this far north, the farthest eastern settlement of the Woodmen. And if you would believe it or not, just last summer I was basically given seat at a table, permission to be able to be part of my very first Folk-moot. And it's thanks to you and your dwarven companions. Hopefully they're all well. I'm happy to see that you are in one piece and that your journey was a success. And she's very inquisitive and curious about this.
Yes, no, I managed to get through on my journey. I made it to Dale. I actually made it in time for the Festival of the Five Armies, and I actually made quite a few friends there. I was one of the champions of the festivals. Actually, part of why I'm here is I'm coming around seeing what each of the settlements in the Woodman lands needs. I am actually entered sort of a deal with King Bard to try and recruit some of the stronger men, dwarves, and elves from across the land to create a net to protect the people. A defense, almost.
Well, you see, since your arrival and since we got rid of Grey Muzzle Hob, well, fortunately, our settlement hasn't been under siege. That's something that is quite new, and after years of living in fear, I've seen hope be stirred within the hearts of my people. And, in time, some people all the way from Woodland Hall, all the way from Woodman Town, have ventured their way out here and have settled. We've grown quite a bit in number. We've probably added about 40 individuals to our ranks, families, warriors. If you're out here seeking to build a network, of course, you can count me in. But if you are here to help in any way, well, we're in desperate need of training. You see, we have a number of hunters that are out making sure at least our borders, our general borders of the western eaves here of Mirkwood, are kept free of goblin and wargs and any kind of unsavory creatures that dwell beneath the canopy. And we found a number of them, and we've slayed a number of them, but it hasn't been without loss either. some of our younger warriors seem to, well, they would benefit for some training. We don't have anybody
Yes,
that
the
could really
impatience of
dedicate
youth.
themselves. Yes, we don't really have anybody that could dedicate themselves completely to, at least showing them a thing or two. We're kept quite busy, as you can see, and you look out and you see that everybody has their own tasks and they're doing their stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind helping you if I can help the next generation here gain some skills and some knowledge. Um, then it'll be better for the entire community.
Indeed,
Well,
I would agree.
actually, I cannot spend very long here. I can spend some time, and I'll be able to help establish training. But if you say you're going to the Folk-moot, I'll see you there. I've actually been invited there myself.
You will? Fenor, you are full of
Yes.
surprises. Well, I look forward to
Well-
being able to make your acquaintance again, but don't fret about rushing yourself too long, or too quickly out of here. It's good to see a friendly face.
Are there any lodgings or anything closer to, like, the edge of town or closer to the woods? Now that I'm back out in the Mirkwood and running around, I don't want Nim to be on his own too much.
Anything that you desire, we can at least make something work for you. We can even, and then she looks around. If you don't mind staying with someone, I'm sure they'd be happy to house you. I was thinking that
Of
you could
course, of
stay. You
course.
could stay in my personal quarters while you were staying here. But please feel free at any time to be able to visit, do anything that you can to help us out. There are a few individuals that you can talk to about setting up training regiments and whatnot to be able to help our youths. And with that, she leaves you to your business.
Yep.
I'm gonna have you make an athletics check for kind of this training and getting to for the training of everybody. This is not made a
I got a-
disadvantage.
A 23.
You teach them not only a thing or two, but the individuals. There's two men that you really begin to kind of teach these basically these regiments too. And the biggest thing that they start to kind of pick up is like the regularity and the consistency of the training, and like all the way from things like stretching and calisthenics to proper like weapon holding techniques about all kinds of weapons, from spears to swords to bows to all those things.
For any that show any like particular promise, like that are like far and above, I would offer then even extra training, like stuff that I would have been learning with like Nornir, stuff like that, like some of the more fine-tuned aspects of combat and like hunting, things like that. But yeah, for the most part, it would just be general training, improving their skills, their general like hardiness and level of fitness.
Absolutely. And I will say one thing before we do move on to the others. One thing that you do notice is adorned upon the top of the high seat and chair is actually the stuffed head of Grey Muzzle Hob. It sits up above kind of the seat of power of Gillavir, and that's something that's amusing to you. So
Looking at it, it's like, I thought it was more charred.
yes,
Yeah.
he's not so much
but no,
gray
yeah.
as it is blackened now. So
Yeah,
for sure.
fitting. Yeah,
And then
but yeah.
without much time, you begin to make your way down south. Do you plan on visiting the Black Tarn next, or are you planning on saving Roskabel for the last place? Or are you going... Oh, yeah, you plan on going back, right?
With the time, like the extra time it took to get here, no, he probably wouldn't head back.
Okay.
It's probably better for him if he'd been able to be already back in Woodman Hall now, then like that would have been fine. But with how it is, he's just going to push forward.
Perfect. And with that...
And he'll probably leave Roskabel for last.
Perfect. And with that, you make your way down blindly towards the Black Tarn. You definitely, not blindly, you get some directions about kind of what to do and what to follow. And the biggest thing that they told you is you got to make sure to find the river and just follow the river southward. So that's kind of like the big hint of that. Back at Woodland Hall, things are jovial, and like they weren't kidding. Anselm was not kidding when he was saying that you arrived just in time. Literally, with each day that passes as May continues onward, as you go into June, more and more caravans of people come in. The tree houses begin to become completely full. A number of traders setting up in the market square. Every day there's new stalls and more to be able to see. But with that, you are all left to your own devices. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Jess. So Jess, during this time, you are spending a decent amount of time with Giselda and learning. What specifically skill were you trying to gain proficiency in?
Insight.
Insight.
Trying to be a wise person.
Trying to be a wise person. One thing that you
It's not working
notice-
out.
Well, one thing that you do notice is she knows her stuff, and the number of people that you see as you spend time with her, that the way they interact with her in a very what's the best word for it? Kind of like a revered state, but I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me to do that. This is going to be at disadvantage.
Okay. Five.
In your mind, the things that you are learning from her are very valuable, and this information is actually helping you to grow a lot when it comes to kind of like your own healing prowess through these crystals. You've even noticed that she's into like herbal cures and leechcraft and things like that. That, like, again, these are things that are right up your alley. And so, like, the way that you view her is everybody else is revering her for the reasons that you are revering her. Yeah, it's pretty nice. But with that being your check there, you're very much all focused in. You're not able to focus a lot on any of the other things that are going around. And for this check, I'm going to have you make a wisdom skill check for me. Or just like, just a straight wisdom skill check. This is going to be to determine whether or not you are going to gain your insight bonus or not.
Yeah.
Do you have inspiration?
9. No, I don't have inspiration. I don't think so. No inspiration. Just me.
You.
Sorry, what did you roll? Sorry.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, well then,
Yeah,
how about
nice.
I give inspiration to it?
Hey, thank
Go ahead and gain
you.
inspiration.
I'm gonna use it immediately.
Hopefully it helps, even if it doesn't. You know,
Okay.
it's
I
good.
appreciate it anyway. It did not help. Thank you.
She got a 1.
No, it was a
No
2
good.
with a negative 1.
Yep. Look, it was just another opportunity.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you have inspiration?
I probably have insane amounts of inspiration, but I don't think I can do that. Sorry, guys.
No. I was
Ah.
through to Fenor. Fenor, do you
Oh
have
no, I don't. No.
Okay. I'm gonna give you inspiration.
Look at that.
Done.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
With that,
This is what I call teamwork.
you spend a decent amount of time here, and you're not able to gain proficiency in your insight skill. However, you are able to gather a number of herbs that she's able to give you and charged crystals. So you can go ahead and add to your inventory healing crystals, 2 of them.
Okay.
I will make that an item. I will allow that to
Oh,
be
yeah.
an item in this game. So you can just write that down in your notes or something. I'll make sure to go in after and make that an item. So 2 healing crystals, and you're going to gain 1 sprig of aphelis.
How do you spell that?
Athelas. It could be
it's in here,
kingsfoil.
but
Either
hang on.
kingsfoil, one of those things. And
I'll
with-
find it.
Yeah, with that, and if not, I can add it to your inventory later. Theodric, so what kinds of things are you doing to help out the community at large?
Essentially, he's going to be helping keep up with the, like, he's seeing the bigger, like, the defenses, like the palisades and stuff, and just kind of, like, any sort of manual labor they need done. You know, help fixing the fences, help building anything new, just anything where his brawn and musculature can help, really. Just, you know, anything that the townspeople are working on
Make an
and could use another
athletics
hand.
check for me, and this is going to be at disadvantage.
Okay. Athletics. Where is my athletics? Okay, that is an 18 at disadvantage.
Holy smokes.
My
yeah,
+4 in athletics cannot be defeated, my dude.
you are actually very helpful to everything that's going on. One of the things that you notice about the defenses and the palisades is they are kept quite well maintained. Like weekly, they are oiled and basically hardened. The training grounds that are there are actually, with your help, have been able to be expanded to horseback combat as well. And so not only has it been like kind of cleaned and expanded in size, but you've done what you can to actually teach them there to learn to start fighting mounted on horse. The captain of the guard, which you've been spending a decent amount of time with, his name is Gerhard. And he is very appreciative of this, and actually he can't stop singing your praises when it comes to being in the tavern. What was it? The Wolf and Mead. The Wolf and Mead Tavern. And news of you and your group has begun to spread, meaning you are now well on your way to being able to unlock Woodland Hall as a sanctuary. That will also be determined on what Valineth is doing, as well as he's going to be attempting to kind of assist in that, and we'll get to that later. But that went a very long way to being able to help. With that, Jess, for your time here at Woodland Hall, so you've been spending most of it kind of with Gilselda, but have you spent any time outside trying to make acquaintance with any of the people, or are you spending it mostly with Gilselda?
I, the player, would like to, but I don't think it's in character for Jess to do too much of that. So probably just like who Giselda like interacts with on an everyday basis. Like, I don't know what sort of position she holds in this town, but if she's a healer, like sort of like my name was
to you, she looks very actually revered to people in this town. So by nature of helping, you could put that off as saying like, oh yeah, like I'm doing a lot for this town. So I can say that. I just kind of need to know that as far as like considering like taking all these checks into consideration for like whether this is unlocked as a sanctuary or not. So good to know.
Also, how many charges of King's Fall did I get? Was it just the one?
Just the one.
Okay, that's fine.
And so kind of moving on, you've made strides. Not only are you in the good graces of Ingolmer, but you are also starting to get into the good graces of the people here of Woodland Hall, which is pretty neat and pretty spiffy as well. Other than that, time moves on. The days draw by, the months go on. By the time that June happens, Fenor, you have made your way down potentially to the Black Tarn. As you travel basically eastward in order to find this river, I'm going to have you make a survival check for me. Fortunately, because you have Rowanhold as a sanctuary, you pretty much were able to remove all like exhaustion, anything like that. You were able to recover from that pretty quickly, and so you feel sprightly and ready to make your way down to the Black Tarn.
Cool. I got a 16.
16? Yeah. Without too much issue, you travel about 2 days east. The one thing you do notice, though, is the further east you go, definitely the more it starts to feel like the Mirkwood of just off the elf You start to see spider webs, not quite as dense as maybe up north, but you start to see some spider webs kind of in the tops of some of the trees, and you're finding it a little bit difficult to find rest and respite, as pretty much all of the the happy bird chatter has ceased, and it's now the deep dark of the Mirkwood that you had grown to be so familiar with in time. You find your way to this river, and you understand why the end of this is called the Black Tarn, as instead of crystal blue waters that are from the Enchanted Stream or even any of the waters that are there, you look at it and it looks to be black. You scoop down and you hold some up in your hand, and it's clear when it's in your hand. It just must be the soot, or like the basically the dirt that's
soil,
there.
or
It's just a
something.
very dark blackened soil. Do you plan on trying to find some kind, or like craft some kind of boat in order to sail upon these waters as they venture south, as it does go southward? Or do you want to just walk along the side of, or ride along the side of the river to make your way southward?
How long would it take me as like a woodwright to be able to make a boat?
Probably about a day and a half. That's
And
really
how much further do
quickly,
I?
But
Yeah, and much further would it be on foot to get there? Like, how much time would this be saving me, from what I've guessed?
I'm gonna have you make a nature check for me. You have no idea, because you've never been to the Black Tarn, so you don't necessarily
Yeah.
know how far downstream it is.
I got an 18.
18. If it's more southward than Woodland, than Woodman Town, if it's further south from what you've guessed, it probably, the time that you would spend making the boat would probably be made up by just riding the current down. It would save you a lot of headache probably, making a boat.
Yeah. But yeah, Fenor's probably going to do that then. Probably going to cut down one of the medium-sized trees and actually remove a lot of the inside. Spend the whole day essentially doing that.
Mhm.
And he's kind of going to give Nim a little pat on his nose and all right, friend, I'll see you further downstream.
And
And Fenor is going to push off into the river and start down.
you look into his eyes and you reach an understanding, as he kind of takes off into the underbrush, still within sight. Actually, you can tell that he's keeping an eye on you as he makes his way, as you make your way south. But this is probably going to cut by taking boat. So you spent about a day and a half carving this out. Without you take your time doing it. But you were able to put it in. You push off and you start making your way down this river. You, at this rate, are going to make your way all the way down there in about 4-ish days. So you do so, and you every evening you are able to kind of pull your boat off to the side and kind of make a little bit of a camp. A little bit wary of creating a fire that's too big, but you're able to do it. Relatively skillfully. The one thing that you have noticed is there definitely is safety upon this water. You haven't noticed anything of danger out here, or even along the sides of the banks of watching you. You don't really feel that. But eventually you do, after about the 4th day, make your way down into this basically broad lake. It's definitely not as big as the Long Lake, but it's pretty large and substantial. And you begin scouring kind of the edges for anything that would resemble a village or a homestead. This takes you about another day to do so. A little bit off from the shore is the Black Tarn on the very southern tip of it. This is a very, not ramshackle, but very humble village. It's not even like Rowanhold, where it has a wall or a palisade or anything around it. They look like they are in mid-construction of what looks to be a longhouse, but you could probably guess that there's a total number of about 80 people that are a part of this. And it's pretty much makeshift wooden kind of structures. And with that, you make your way in, and a woman actually approaches you and she has a spear in her hand, and she looks like quite suspiciously at you and says, "What brings you to the Black Tarn?"
Fëanor is going to say in the Woodland tongue, hail and well met. I make my way down from Woodman Hall. What was the name of it?
Ingolmer.
Ingolmer, yeah. I come down this way. I actually talked to the leader of Woodman Hall, Ingolmer, and he said that if I wanted to help, I might perhaps make my way down here.
Oh.
I've actually just finished boating a certain distance down here. Yeah.
It's not,
How can I help?
it's not every day that we see a Sylvan elf make his way all the way down this far south from Thranduil's halls. But if you say you are friends of Ingolmer, I'm gonna have you either make a persuasion check for me, or a... No, let's go with persuasion check.
An 8.
An 8. You say you're here to help, but how do you know we have something to help with? And you like look around and you see like this village needs help. Clearly.
I kind of have a look around and go, well, I am a skilled woodcrafter. I've got quite a few carpenter's tools and carving tools. And you seem to be in a worse off part of the Mirkwood. Like, it's not really that much of a stretch. I'm here to try and establish a better network of friendship and familiarity between our peoples and the peoples of even as far off as Dale. I want to try and help fight back against this darkness that plagues our lands.
That all sounds well and good. But don't be mistaken. Recent years have been bountiful here. And you look around and you see that the people seem genuinely happy. It might be kind of like ramshackle conditions, but it's kind of like this clearing at the edge of this lake. We don't need protecting. In fact, since the fall of the dragon, the pestilent frogs that used to plague our waters have left altogether. We have enough food to be able to feed more than triple our current size. If you are a woodwight, though, perhaps we could use your skill. We are fishermen, mostly. We're not builders. This could be something you could help us with. And she kind of like eyes you very suspiciously. I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me.
A 12. Fëanor does say that he's like, I might even be able to teach you some skills. What is the saying? Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he feeds for life.
Well spoke, well spoke. Show me what you can do. Maybe you can teach us a thing or two. She hesitantly allows you to kind of leave you to your own, do what you want during your time here at Rowanhold. And I'm going to have you just generally make a dexterity check for me in order to figure that out. But as that happens, we're going to go ahead and jump all the way back to Woodland Hall as we kind of figure out what's going on as, again, June kind of wraps to a close. Jess, so you're spending your time here with Gilselda, but one of the things that has also caught your attention is some of the market space, the market green, as it were. Perhaps there's something that could catch your eye, that maybe your pockets are, could be lifted a little bit. Or, if you want to do so, try to figure out a rumor or two that you might be able to pick up from the travelers here, or even some of the locals. Whichever one do you want. Do you want to go shopping, or do you want to eavesdrop or inquire, I guess. It doesn't even have to be eavesdropping, it just be inquiring. Can't hear ya.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just so quiet over here so much of the time that I forget. Cool. I don't think I need any more inventory. The only thing I was gonna ask is about healing herbs, and I sort of already got those. So, I like to chase up rumors to see if I can find any like lost, long forgotten treasures, blah blah. Or I'd like to go shopping to see if I can buy a treasure map.
Treasure map, okay. Well, I will say, as you scour the market green, I'm gonna have you just make a perception or investigation check for me.
I'm better at perception.
The roll will determine which one you're going to be finding.
6. I'm rolling so well today.
Yeah, you don't see anything as far as treasure map sellers. You see like cartographers for like maps in general, but not so much treasure maps. But there is a number of actually well-armed individuals. They are rather tall men with kind of like these like long shaggy beards. They kind of stand a little bit in contrast to the typical people that are here. They're clearly visitors. They seem to be kind of talking in hushed voices off kind of in an empty alleyway between a few of the currently empty stalls. Do you wish to engage them in conversation, or do you wish to sneak in and try to eavesdrop?
I'm being sneaky, thank you.
All right, go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
Yeah. White. It's 14.
14.
I'm just gonna like stand around the corner and stay still.
Being
Like,
very light.
Like I'm waiting for something, but I'm like within earshot.
Being very light on your feet and very casually spoken, like everyone's been relatively acquainted with you to be used to the fact that there's a hobbit here, even travelers. So you're able to kind of lean yourself against one of the stalls as you pretend to kind of people watch or just mind your own business, and you begin to hear a little bit of some grumblings about. One of the men, he kind of talks about it, just like, I'm not paid well enough for this. Then you hear another one basically speaking about, like, I don't know if we can trust them. You know their kind. They don't tend to be, honest with their words. And then you hear another one says, yeah, our lord, he says that we can trust them. He says that, well, he's a way of controlling them. Goblin scum. And then basically you hear a little bit of that. If you want to try to figure out a little bit more of what they're saying, you can try to sneak a little closer. Test your luck.
Okay, you know I love like.
She's gonna lose.
Okay, yeah, sure. I will test this. Sure.
Okay, go ahead and make either a stealth check for me, or no, the stealth check as you sneak closer.
23.
You skillfully do. You kind of duck your way back around the side of the cart, or side of one of the empty stalls, and you dip underneath, and you're able to, with kind of like your silent movement, go literally within probably 3 or 4 feet of them, crouching behind barrels and whatnot, as you begin to listen some of them. They said, you know, the goblins from the Misty Mountains. Well, they've started making their way eastward. They say that they have quite a bit of treasure, and they're looking for allies for, well, the battles to come. The current goblin that is in residence there, they call him the Great Goblin. Well, they said that he has stores of gold, dwarven gold. And clearly, with the dwarves taking up residence in Erebor, this might be our way to be able to, well, pad our pockets for a rainy day. And then another one, he jumps in and says, but again, that raises the questions. Do we trust goblins? They become more active out and about, but... And then the other one, like, as he kind of like is in a little bit of doubt, one of the other ones, he chimes in and says, oh, but you do realize it's not just goblins that we're doing business with, but wargs as well. Wargs are cunning and keen, and they're not known to be much of liars. And they basically this goes on. The basic gist that you hear from this is goblins are out searching for mercenaries to be able to extend their domain from the Misty Mountains out eastward. And they're looking to kind of build allies, apparently with men. And this is somewhat concerning, but you do hear there are hordes of treasures, including dwarven gold. You notice, I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
Okay.
There's
I
gold
really picked
in
the
them
right
there
proficiency.
hills.
7.
Going to California, the Misty Mountains. With that 7, you're able to kind of peer around just a little bit, not enough to be caught. You're pretty stealthy as it were, to see if there's anything perhaps on these persons to be able to denote anything about them. Maybe sigils on who they serve, maybe the type of clothing that they have to figure out where they're from. But you do notice on the one that is closest to you, there's a small piece of parchment rolled up that is tucked inside his belt, slightly covered. You have no idea what this could be.
You are
Maybe you
not
do.
tempting me with this. You say it's the closest one to me. How close is he?
So he's on the other side of this barrel. As I mentioned, he's about 3 feet from you. So probably about a little over your length in body length. So you could
Just
creep
a
around.
warning. I
Mm,
can't afford to give you inspiration. I am broke on channel points.
I don't care.
You're on your own.
But no, I like it, baby.
Are you feeling the sticky finger urge?
How can I not? I feel the sticky finger urge.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check for me.
I'm feeling good about this. There is no way this can possibly go wrong. 17.
17. You reach around and you see this parchment. Ooh, this looks good. You're able to just barely grab the corner of it and skillfully pull it out of his pocket and hide and duck behind the barrels. They did not notice you from what you can tell. They just continue their conversation as is.
Oh my god. Okay, I sneak away.
You do so successfully.
Okay, perfect. I'm not going far, just like a couple blocks, and I'm gonna rip this open and read it.
This is a parchment that looks like it has been torn in half. On one
Oh.
end, it is what looks to be kind of a diagram of a map. And on the back, it's written in very almost illegible speech, in common tongue, so something that you can read. I'm going to have you make an investigation check as you attempt to read through this on the scrawlings on the back.
Sweet nice. 9. What is my rolls today?
You see a word payment, and then you see a word hoard. You can't read anything else out of that.
Yeah.
But you turn it back over to look at what was kind of on the inside of this scroll. It is, as I mentioned, it is a map of sorts. But it means nothing to you. It looks to be the inside of some kind of cavern system.
Okay.
And whatever has been torn off of it, you're not able to see much. But basically, it's not like an overview of Middle Earth and then the X marks the spot on the map. It looks to be a map of some kind of tunnel system. Could prove useful.
It could. I'm going to take this to Valanoth.
Valanoth, you know exactly where to find him. The wood is sold. And he's up
Yeah.
there and he's like, oh yes, this is interesting indeed. And he's like talking to one of the people, and it's like to the point where he's just like, he's got their ear as they're trying to leave, and he's like, no, one more question. And he's just like talking like all about this kind of stuff. Oh, this was fascinating. Jess, have you come to learn about the historical importances of the woodland folk? It's the first time I've seen you in
Maybe
here.
later.
Don't tell me you just missed me. And he gives you kind of like this like smile.
I I just needed your help with something. I was hoping you could assist me.
Oh, well, I am here. If anything, I am a party member to help those in need. And he comes over and he kind of closes his book and kind of puts his quill behind his ear. He makes his way over. What do you got for me? And he looks.
I think your quill is staining your ear. You still
this?
have ink on it. Yeah.
Well, fortunately, they have there's a barrel of water that I've been using to wash my hair in our rooms. It's been quite useful.
Oh, so are you using it for? How interesting. Anyway, I found this. Can you copy it for me?
Oh, this is peculiar. And he the writing.
Yep.
He's like
All of it.
all of it.
I want like a photocopy. Both sides.
What language is this? And he kind of.
Um.
This is gonna take me
common?
some time. A map. I could scroll out for you, no big deal. If anything, actually, back at the treehouse, I have my cartographer's supplies. I can sketch this out, probably with greater detail. Ooh, this looks interesting. And he begins to explore. Where did you find something such as this?
Well, do you want?
Oh, by the way,
Do you
Jess,
want-
you gain 1 point of shadow from filching that off of.
I
I almost forgot.
Do
1
I?
point of
Yes.
shadow. Yep.
No, that's fair. I'm going to get those so fast. Where did I put that?
The first fully evil hobbit.
Oh god.
A burglar.
I have no
hobbit?
idea what you're talking
What's a
about.
burglar hobbit?
It's a bag. I'd give it. Yeah, anyway. Cool. And yet, she still has less points of shadow than my other character, who was supposed to be good. So, who's really winning here?
True.
Me.
He also didn't fight a ghost, so
I didn't fight a ghost. No.
not yet.
Anyway, he asks where I got it from. She will say, I don't know whether you want the truth or not.
Oh, a little bit shifty. Oh, I might worry about you. Oh, just kidding. I know you're a well-to-do hobbit.
Yep, that's me.
Yes.
I found it.
Oh, make a deception check for me.
It's half a lie at best. Okay, deception. Oh my god. 22.
Ah,
I'm
yes,
having
yes.
so
I
much
find no
fun.
reason not to trust that. This does look like it has been shoved in pockets and stepped on quite a bit. It looks like it was laying on the ground. That makes sense to me.
That does make sense, yeah.
Indeed. Well, it'll take me some time to be able to do this. I have no idea what language this is. But I will
That's okay.
decipher it.
I was hoping to get a copy of it so then I could return it to the original owners if I happen to find them.
As I had mentioned, well-to-do hobbits indeed. And he goes and he begins to
indeed.
set. He begins to set upon his goal of copying this map and basically the writings that are on the back.
Yep.
Theodric, which brings us to you.
Having a great time.
As you are doing your thing and making your way about, you can't help but think of this upcoming Folk-moot. Early July has begun to creep in, and you've learned a few things. Valinith has also told you a few things that are of interest, specifically about the people. One of the things that you have heard is the idea of kind of some of these houses that you houses of Northmen, and you've learned a little bit more about specifically the House of Haleth. There's been a number of people that you've talked to. Valinith has also divulged some stuff from people, but the House of Haleth, they reside not only mostly in the northern vales of Gundabad, so very far to the north, up against the mountains, but it is said to be believed that they have been lost altogether. There is no longer any living creatures of that. And one thing perhaps does pique your interest. I'm going to have you make either a perception or an investigation check for me.
Oh, that's so lucky. That's a 19. Oh, no, that's a 20. It's a 20! Not Nat, though.
There's a rumor going around about the people. The House of Howlith, while maybe most of the woodmen have descended from them, there's a rumor that they maybe are gone from existence, or maybe they're no longer people. This is weird. Perhaps they are spirits? There's one individual that you ran into that was kind of mumbling a little bit about something about the Vales of Gundabad and how it's under the shadow of Mount Gundabad, a place of pure evil. There is some dark sorcery that has been going on there, or at least has been rumored, and it has tainted the people. And some say that the people of the House of Howlith are no longer people in as much as they are dream walkers. You inquire about what this could possibly mean. They're not able to give you much of an answer other than the fact that when you're in the Vales of Gundabad and you hear the call of wargs in the distance, and if there is a mist that comes in, the haunted place are said to be the spirits of lost souls that have been claimed by a sorcerer. That's what you're able to kind of divulge from that a little bit. And this kind of haunts your dreams a little bit. You've been pretty happy, and like the people have been pretty glad to have you for the time being, and they've done a good job of making you feel useful at home. But this is weird. This is really the first time that you've heard about ghost stories. You've dreamed about orcs. You've dreamed about dark figures on thrones. You've thought much about your battle fury, and also kind of the anticipation of perhaps learning a little bit more about that. But as you dream, there's one particular night, mid-July, that you fall into a deep sleep. You are no longer in a familiar place. In fact, you can't help but picture what the Vales of Gundabad could potentially hold. You stand on a hill that is completely covered in mist. In the distance, you hear wargs howling. Souls of the lost, claimed by sorcery. These stories don't seem real. I'm gonna have you make a wisdom saving throw for me.
That's a 6.
A 6. You succumb to the fear. And you can just see off in the distance what look to be spectral forms dashing in and out around the hill. These wargs grow closer and closer and closer. So much so that they seem in every direction and you seem helpless. You pull out your swords to find yourself unable to be able to hold it up and outright. And as these wargs, spiritual wargs, begin to descend upon you, you drop your sword and you cover your head. This shape encompasses you, and immediately you begin to feel this chill, the touch of ice. Shivers run up and down your spine. You've never felt so alone in your entire life. At this point, you're almost longing for that toothy grin of the orc of dreams past. This feels hopeless. You feel the darkness overcoming you. But then, you hear a familiar voice. Theodric, do not
Not
be frightened. You
You
have so much potential. Pick up your sword.
Steel yourself.
This fight is
is
not
not
over. What do you do in this moment? You open your eyes and you grasp and you find strength in your sword arm. You begin to finally remember what it feels like to be able to fight for your life, but to fight for your self-preservation and the protection of those around you. You think about your friends. You think of Valineth. You think of Jess. You think of Jalen. You think of Fenor. All of the people that you have fought to protect up until this point, and you begin to feel courage welling up. These spectral wargs, about 4 of them are around you, and you lunge forward and begin slashing. These slashes seem to just cut right through them, as if no effect. I'm going to have you make a perception check for me. You can immediately begin to hear a voice call out to you.
Let me in, Theodric. Let us finish these creatures off together.
And you're immediately overcome by this feeling of power. You begin to feel anger. You begin to feel hatred for these wargs. You look down at your sword arm, and it's no longer your arm, but the spectral figure of this blackened form as you begin to cut skillfully through these wargs. And instead of passing through, these wargs begin to bleed, and they scream and they cower away off into the fog. And with each slash that you make with your sword, the fog begins to dissipate in every direction. The darkness begins to be dispelled to a degree. And you fall to your knees as the last warg runs away. And you sit on your knees alone in front of this blackened figure, leaving your body. And again you feel weak. And it just looks at you, arms crossed, but looking at you. What is your reaction to this moment? He looks at you and doesn't wait a moment before he answers.
Theodric, I am but a shadow of what is to come, and a memory of the past. I come to you, not as a foe, but as a harbinger of your fate. You are a man torn between the fire of your rage and the steel of your sword. And I must show you what lies ahead if you do not find the strength to balance the two.
Do you give in to these visions? He reaches out his hand. Do you grasp it? Make an insight check for me. The decision is yours. The one thing that you find is it's very difficult to read this being, whatever it is. But the things that you're hearing from it, there's no deception behind its words. You do get the overwhelming feeling, though, if you do grasp his hand, perhaps you might not like what you see. But there's also no reason to trust, or there's no reason not to trust that this could be helpful too. This being seems truthful, is essentially what I'm saying. Completely truthful. No deception.
In the coming years, the woodman communities will suffer. Orcs will surge forth from Fenbridge, slaughtering the innocent and spreading despair. It will start in the north, but an even more malevolent force grows to the south. Mirkwood will not be the sole battleground to come. The shadow, it will spread its suffocating veil over the lands of Gondor and the fields of Rohan.
You immediately get flashes of this. You see great battles. You see cities that you know and that you love in Rohan being razed by what look to be men. Men of Dunlending descent. Fearsome, enormous orcs that you've never seen. You take a glimpse down into Gondor, and you see sieges of orcs laying siege against a great, great kingdom of Minas Tirith. There are winged creatures that fly here and there, but as you look towards the east, you can sense this overwhelming presence of evil. A dark shadow begins to extend across the sky, and all orcs that fear the sunlight now are able to move.
There will come a time when the bonds that you build will aid you in the growing darkness. But be warned, not all who stand beside you will be allies in the fight to come. Trust will become a precious commodity, as shadow conceals true intentions. One shrouded in darkness may prove to be a beacon of hope, if only you dare to place your trust in them, while those veiled in light may eventually lead you astray. Theodric, remember this. The path ahead is fraught with peril, but within the shadows, there may be allies yet unseen. Find the balance between your rage and your sword, for it is a beacon of hope that can pierce even the deepest darkness.
These visions are horrific. You see family members, well, not necessarily family members, but you see your people, the people of Rohan, fallen and being driven out of their homes. Fear and panic upon their faces, and you see the once golden hills of Rohan be stained in blood. These fearsome orcs, the kind you have never seen before, bearing the crest of what looks to be a white hand. You have no idea what this could be. But if this is to be what's to come, you are terrified to be able to stand in the face of it. And as soon as you awake, You stare up at the ceiling, unable to truly take in what you had just seen, but you stare up into a very beautiful day. It's summer. There's a breeze in the trees. The birds begin to sing. It is another beautiful day in Woodland Hall. But this was a terrible dream. It's going to take you a while to get over this. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end our session for today. Yes. Okay. Dirty 20. Okay. Perfect. Yes. Yes. Haleth. Haleth. Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. I know. I know. Dang it. Darn it. True. And his salt and nuts are gone. They were used for his birthday cake. Different nuts. Huzzah. Huzzah. With that, though, we're going to go ahead and jump into thoughts on the session overall. We'll start with you, Jess, and then we'll jump to Fenor and then Theodric. We'll save Theodric for the end. Jess, how does it feel being sketchy? Great. Great. Mm-hmm. And clearly they don't know her yet either. Treasure. Hey, the allure of dwarven treasure. True. I can tell you. Exactly. Like someone's whole house. Yeah. And potential inscriptions that Valineth at the beginning of next session will roll to see if he can successfully translate it. So that'll be good. He's pretty good when it comes to some of his stuff. So, perfect. Fellowship phases. I will explain a little bit of something. I know we're like jumping around from place to place, and especially with like Fenor, I know like you are like going and seeing like some of these places, and like Rowan holds specifically. I don't want to glaze over it too much, especially because you do have like history there. Like this place is a sanctuary for you, and Galovira is a patient. Yeah. For sure. Uh-huh. No, that's good. Jess, continue. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Thanks. I'm just glad I didn't have to do like a ton of roleplay for him tonight. Yeah. I don't want to take up scream time for you guys when you got lots to accomplish in a 3-hour stream. So. Got half a map, and you got some things for the road. I'll make some fun items for you to be able to have. Healing crystals. I have some ideas of how those are gonna work, so it's gonna be good. Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. Not to worry. It's all good. It's all good. And so, yeah, it's just like I think. Awesome. That'll help me remember. Perfect. Awesome. Well, yes, thank you. I know like sometimes like the rules aren't in your favor when they're not in your favor, but sometimes they're really in your favor, and you can like discover some cool stuff. So. Uh, you papered over that nicely. I'm thinking that that's you're sitting there for 10 minutes at the top of the treehouse having an existential crisis, just being like, too high, too much. Oh, got it. It's a time and a half. It's a time and a half, that's for sure. You use this situation as building blocks for everybody to like these fellowship phases are kind of meant to be that, where maybe you're not in immediate danger, but like this is really for you to get to kind of like explore your characters, figure out kind of like the extents of which they're willing to go, kind of show everybody kind of some of the colors of your character, of like the things that they're capable of, the things that they're willing to do, and this by putting yourselves in situations among a populace. Yeah, it's very different than being out on the adventure altogether, like on the road. So just something to think about. These are character building moments, and like they're supposed to be long periods of time where like rest is supposed to happen, but also you know, you're kind of mulling over an adventure you had just gone through. And I know like Jess in this case, like you didn't really experience all that much. You celebrated a birthday and met a Beorning. That's great. You saw Mirkwood. And so like you're still at this point now where you're like fresh baby adventurer, where Theodric, Fenor, and Valinus have seen stuff. And so like it's really like interesting seeing the stark difference between Jess and kind of like her concerns of the world right now, and then everybody else. And it'll be interesting to see how it comes together as you continue to kind of like build your narrative around each other's personalities. And in the world of Middle Earth, you have your first treasure map. Who knows like what that'll come of? Like you have no idea what this thing is of, and who knows? Fate might just bring you to a good situation where you could use this, and that was based off of a good roll. So we'll see. 22. Awesome. Fenor. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In Golmer. Mm-hmm. In Golmer. Mm-hmm. And you unlocked a patron. That's something that's cool. There's a lot of like good bonuses and boons that are like party wide to get from getting patrons. That's why I also give you guys choices. It's not just like, sweet, you've given this to me, it's mine now. It's like, no, like you guys have the potential to be like finders keepers, and that's not necessarily going to give points of shadow per se, but like you could turn it into a weapon or something, or you could again do something thematic to be able to, you know, build bonds, that kind of stuff, since especially with Fenor, that's kind of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, absolutely. Mhm. For sure. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's interesting to see kind of far and wide. And again, these fellowship phases are meant for a little bit of separation and split up. Like parties aren't always going to be together. Sometimes people just have things that they have to do. We see it all the time in Lord of the Rings. Like Gandalf is always piecing out on his group, always, because you know that's what wizards do. And people have other things. People of importance have other things to do. Or even if you don't have relative importance, like you're, you know, you live your life, you're not always tied to specifically being with this party as a whole, and so it gives you time. And that's why there's like a yeah, and that's why there's like this Adventures in Middle Earth takes place in like a very broad scope, where like it's not adventure after adventure after adventure. Like the War of the Ring is like a year long, and that's like you guys have been on an adventure for like a year, and so So the fact that like all of this is like been going on, it's like it's a short time frame, but so much can happen within that time frame that it feels like a whole adventure itself. And so you need time to rest. You need some respite and some ability to be able to have personal growth outside of the chaos of an adventure. So. Right. Right, absolutely. For sure. Yes, absolutely. Theodric, your thoughts on tonight's session? Yes. They're short blips. Short blips, but... I'll tell Dain to get on that. Mm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We are building. We're laying the groundwork for things to come. One of the things in Adventures in Middle Earth, and especially in a world that's already so fleshed out like Middle Earth and Tolkien's writings, is you're not always familiar with those that are like the NPCs and that kind of stuff, but you need to find some kind of purpose on why. It's just like, why do I care about this person? And so like the role playing and the aspects of getting to know NPCs and the kind of the importance, it's like, oh, like I want to actually genuinely like do something that will help this NPC, as opposed to like, oh, this is like a sweet like item that I could use, and like, you know, it's lifelike, I would say. And it just especially going forward, I mean, like we had like that whole dream sequence. Clearly, some of those things to come should sound familiar. Yeah. But Theodric doesn't know that's immediate. That's true. Yeah. But that's the thing, like Theodric doesn't necessarily know that that's going to be the case. He just he's just like, "Oh, snap. Like my everything is going to just go up in ruins." And that's something that I think Theodric going into future sessions has to start to deal with. Maybe kind of some more of this pressure is on him. But he also spoke too of Mirkwood too. Yeah. Theodric, you've never seen the White City of Gondor. It was impressive, but it was also under siege. So, yeah, there's lots of things to kind of think about and to poke around with. But again, like not kind of, I don't know, thinking over the game here. You have no idea when these are going to happen. You seem to trust him with that nat 20. He seemed completely truthful. He's like, these are things to come. Prepare yourself. And so now maybe there's that sense of urgency that you're just like, oh, snap, we got to get going on this. Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And one thing I will say too about this kind of impending shadow. So like I know like when you picked kind of like your background and everything, and you have like these visions, like trust me, all of them are connected in some way. They might seem like bits and pieces and it's a little bit chaotic, but they're woven in there somewhere. Trust me, it'll all come together. I've got this figured out. It's a puzzle piece. But yeah, it's just, what do I show you at what times? A lot of it has to do with essentially where you guys are, but also like the roles that you're making and like the things that you're experiencing. So the fact that you were able to actually discover some of the stuff and the history of, for example, the Vales of Gundabad and the House of Haleth and that kind of stuff with a decent role, being able to figure that out, and that stuff might not have been revealed. You might have not had that nightmare if you didn't think about phantom wargs and things attacking you. So everything matters. It's a puzzle piece that I have to figure out how to put together and sometimes make fit together. So it's good. That's true. Like the red string's a nat 1, and then it's just like this has led to this, and then like green is like the nat 20s. Yes. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh man. Huh. But it was a really fun session. Thank you guys as always. Like I'm very excited to see like what happens at this Folk-moot. So there's a lot that's going to be coming here in the future as new adventures and potential for things begin. Think about things that you possibly want to bring up to the Woodman. You guys will have another week to be able to discover that. And for all of those that are watching that have stuck around all the way till the bitter end, thank you so much. We are going to basically streams are going to start becoming more regular once Dain is officially back here, Monday especially. But this weekend we do have Everlast, our basically crafted here tabletop RPG, and they're in the middle of a dungeon. It's gonna be at 10:30 a.m. JST, so come join us for that. It'll be great. And then next week, again, everything is resuming as normal when it comes to streams. I'm not sure what Dane's doing for the remainder of the week, but yeah, stay tuned. It should be a party as we kind of get things rolling. So thank you all again for joining us tonight. We do have a sponsor, as we had mentioned earlier. Thank you guys for the plug, as I was off doing stuff. But yes, Daisnaki, they're a Japanese sweets and luxury treats company, and they sell Japanese snacks, from popular Japanese snacks in their omakase box to traditional in their omakase looks to character-themed kind of stuff in their kawaii box. For about the next week, I think they have their summer box that is going to be for sale, so make sure to check them out. If you do order from them at checkout, say Fantasy Forge sent you, and then mention your Twitch name, and you will get raffle tickets for when we hit our referral limit from them, and they will give away a free omakase box on our channel. So without further ado, I think that's going to end it for tonight. It's getting late. I got to eat some dinner. You guys all enjoy your day. I know it's the middle of the week and probably work, school, all that kind of stuff is coming on the horizon. But I will see you guys all next week. Or I guess this weekend, but you guys here next week. And without further ado, may the road go ever onward and onward. Bye, guys.